Massive reversals underway here this morning, both on equities, metals, even energy stocks, right back to the upside after a gap down this morning initially. All it takes is a tweet. That's what came out from President Trump early on this morning, saying that he has ordered the Department of War to postpone any and all strikes for a 5-day period. That immediately sent everything screaming to the upside. We went from down better part of 1 full percent on equity futures to up more than 2%, full 3% swing from bottom to top. We are coming off a little bit here after the next tweet came out. So a whole bunch of sources saying essentially Iran has no idea what he's talking about, and they've had no discussions and nothing of these progression that has taken place, and a lot of question marks anyways on whether or not the initial tweet has any substance behind it. The market seems to think so because we are holding higher, but let's see what happens here.
Yeah, he tweeted, or he truthed a few days ago, about almost, I think, like 36 hours ago now, that he was basically giving them 48 hours from the time of the message to open the Strait of Hormuz or subject themselves to attacks on their energy infrastructure, which he said he didn't want to do because it's going to basically postpone the rebuilding of the country when and if this whole thing is done. So the market's reacting quite aggressively. I came in, I was speaking to Neil, everything was red on my watch list, and basically moments later,
the power
everything
of
was
a tweet.
Green. Yeah, that's kind of the way it works. Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, the world we live in right now, that's what happened to oil, as you were saying there on the left. We had the initial move downside. We're clawing our way back up right now to 92. I mean, we were at above 98 bucks again. Brent was well above $100 again. We get down to 86 and change at the lows. Just wild swings here after, even when futures opened last night on that initial headline that you were talking about, we get the initial move higher on that, and then here we are back to the downside once again. So whether or not this sticks, let's wait and see. I mean, there are other storylines this morning. There are individual names moving around here as well. I mean, everything kind of gets shelved when something market moving or broad-based market moving comes out, as it did this morning. So individual moves are going to be a little bit skewed because of that. Tesla with a headline back higher initially. We're coming down a little bit. Disregard this candle right now. Again, some D prints, dark prints coming off from the overnight period. NVIDIA always on watch after what happened last week. This one fared the best, it looks like, from the initial move in the overall market back to positive territory and then some. Yeah,
Lisa Su's on her way to Korea as well to strike some deals. But interesting take from NVIDIA last week. We saw their basically open-handed approach to OpenClaw, NemoClaw. It's super easy to install on your computer. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to install this NemoClaw. You just go into what is it called? Terminal on Mac. You go into command prompt on Windows. You enter a couple of lines. It pulls it automatically. So it's super simple to install. I told you last week that China is having basically these OpenClaw conferences where anybody who wants to come, senior citizens included, bring in their laptops, and they're getting this installed super simply. And they've got assistants now that can kind of help them navigate the web, do everything they need. So trying to proliferate this type of AI assistant.
And the best part about it is anyone can do this. And you and I were talking about this last week from the standpoint that even if something goes wrong in the process of actual installation, all you have to do is just feed it back the problem, and it'll tell you how to work around it and get it to a point where it's working. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more on that. But headlines, guys, the key here so far this morning, the back and forth continues. We'll keep our eye out for anything because I'm sure there's more to come.
Yes, sir, and welcome everybody. I guess, well, volatility's not going anywhere, that's for sure. VIX had hit 30. The chances of a rate hike by the end of the year were over 50%. Well, they probably still are. And it was looking like it was all doom and gloom, and all of a sudden we get one message, which is now potentially being half refuted, and the volatility is through the roof. Like the SPY went to 667 from 42. So a huge move. Everything was gapped to the downside. It was looking like it was going to be a panic kind of Monday. And then we get that reversal. The only thing with this Iran saying there were no talks held, true or not, regardless, I mean, if the strikes have been called off for 5 days, that's still a good thing in theory. Like the reason why, I guess we'll have to get hashed out, and we'll sort of figure that out as we go, because we'll keep our ears to the ground. But still, at least the good news of some strikes being called back. So you can take that and have some positivity there. But yeah, the volatility is out. It's through the roof. You saw it last week, and I think that's certainly going to continue in here. But so far, so good. I mean, you can't say it's a bad thing to be calling off strikes.
No, I think it's good. It's just, is it an actual thing? We'll have to wait to see. The market's only up 1.3%. I mean, it's not like it's huge. This is the U.S. dollar on that news as well. You can see pretty much when that tweet was made, 7:05. And then straight to the downside. Now you're starting to battle back a little bit. So you've made a, let's just say this is a 1% move down. You've gained back 0.5% now in the dollar. So, all right, not a completely violent move here. USO goes from 122 down to 110. Now you're already back to 116 here. I don't know. It's like it's getting to be one of those things again where it's, I wish it was one way, but it may just be the other way after all that. Tesla was down to 357 before this all happened, so that was not good. Like, Tesla's been on a way down for sure. I think this name maybe, if anything pops, might be a short in Tesla. I mean, bleeding, all Friday, all the way to the end. We got a little bit of a bump near the end of the day, but still opened up at 357 is where we were going to be at. So there's a little bit of a move down here if this kind of corrects itself back in. So yeah, looking for some Tesla. Obviously with oil coming in here, we just talked about what was going on with USO. This is, of course, crude oil here, not Brent, but down 5%. Look at this move, down to $82 again, back to 91 or 90 now in change. So, which was a very dramatic move right off the bat, has now retraced back into the $90, $91 again. So, lots happening there. What's up, Randy? Thank you for the bananas. We did get some good news for DraftKings and whatnot here today as well, so we can be able to watch some of these names up 7%. And make sure you grab our watch list. I mean, today's watch is pretty packed, as Neil said, with volatility starting to go through. Again, these are the stories you're going to want to talk about here. Oil and energy, here's the whole talk. If you didn't grab that story here, looking at USO, XOM, bunch of different names. Palantir with another U.S. deal, military program there. We'll have to watch out for SMCI. That was an interesting play last week there, of course, as they had a bunch of different filings go the other way and wrong imports and exports and members of their board stepping down in a way. There's the gambling stocks right there as well. Airlines back to the upside here as we start to go. Tesla, I mean, a lot of these numbers are going to be a little misleading right now as we get to see that, the market moves around here. But NVIDIA there as well with Emerald AI, another partnership being announced there for nuclear, and Amazon, Apple, and Alphabet, EU antitrust. So there's, make sure you do grab our watch list today. It's full of, just tons of information. We welcome back Adara today, so that's going to be nice to have her come through. But yeah, it's going to be all about, for me, it's going to be all about USO. Also gold was down to 4,300 or so an ounce. So that 200
period.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was going to say. That's down more than that, looks like now. Wasn't the 200 period at like 420 or something? Or yeah, you're way under. Yeah, I have GLD right here, 374. Yeah, so we getting close to hitting that level right there. So yeah, gold well cooking now, man, down to 385 or so, and then bouncing up into 400. So nice little rally in some of the spaces off of that 7 a.m. sort of complete dump off there. But yeah, gold not doing too bad, down 3%. So something else to look at, and then silver would be something. And I guess we're gonna have Michael coming out, right? So he'll hopefully try to help us out by looking at some of these plays. I don't know if you can actually, discount what's happening today. Silver's still down only 1%. That could be a little bit more. Look, it's a great story, but like right now you're coming in and you're just seeing the NASDAQ 1.4%. We've come in and see these days before on limited tweets. So be interesting to hear how this day folds out, I think.
I feel like the headlines are not done today. Let's be real. And we'll probably hear a little bit more. Certainly, we'll probably hear more from the president. We'll probably hear more from Iran. But price action is not going to lie. For sure. And just going back to metals, like some of the miners were getting slapped badly. Like if you looked at like GDX, like the move, it was completely insane, the move that happened at 7 o'clock. But like GDX, we were talking about the 200 period in gold and GLD or an SLV. This had actually breached over there. So, miners were definitely getting clapped. That could be a place, if we can sustain this rebound, that's certainly a place that's worth looking for sure. And then, of course, there's always going to be our fun small cappers. And, sure, I don't know why this was so small. Our visualizer, which I wanted. Why is it so weird looking? Oh, that's why. There we go. I don't know why it didn't have it to like 100%. It hasn't filled out yet. So remember, everybody that's in the chat, then if you can, when you're typing in symbols, when you're asking questions, if you do us a favor, throw in the $ in there. USO is gonna be #1 right now, and I see them starting at Tesla, starting to throw in there. So you just throw the symbols in. Make sure you do that $ so we keep it abreast. Because I looked up and I'm like, usually. Even, I know we just started, but usually there's a few names in there and you're talking about some small cappers. So yeah, we get that bad boy going and then we get an idea what everybody else is looking at. Oh, SoFi is a bit on the mind. Almost made the list. SoFi still holding, and this is a good sign for SoFi. I'm just gonna quickly pivot because someone mentioned that. SoFi, the bounce in the market this morning was pretty much exactly at that double bottom after the Muddy Waters report. It was right there and threatening to break, and then all of a sudden we get that truth from the president, and I guess rising tide lifts all ships, because that looked like it was going to be that flat bottom break from the Muddy Waters report, and got a nice little bounce here. If that could just take out 1740, we could be in play for sure. So yeah, get your symbols in, and all of a sudden, just because we're talking about SoFi, it gets to the top of the list. I suspect it'll be energy and metals.
Yeah.
That would be there for sure. And there's certainly going to be some of those energy small cappers there for you, Sharif. No chance that there won't be movers there.
I hope so. There's a couple of good ones right now. UGRO, this is making a nice stair step up here, Neil, through 425, coming back down into 4, but it's holding structure. You can see like that stair step up, bull flag continuation, bull flag continuation. Nice move here above 3.5, Brendo, UGRO.
Yeah, we'll keep a lookout for those. More comments coming through here, guys, from Iranian officials. It looks like, just reiterating what we said off the bat here. There are no talks between the U.S. and Iran. Requests to reduce tensions should be put to the U.S., not on us. I mean, if that's the case, who is he talking about? Who are these talks with?
Yeah.
If they have no idea what he's even referring to at this point, and B, do they even exist at this point? Is there anything even happening? But I mean, let's see again, Iranian officials, just more comments, guys, coming through, just reiterating the simple fact that they don't seem to recall any discussions with the U.S. whatsoever. So futures back to, I mean, basically aftermarket highs here or some of the individual names
What
from Friday.
incentive would the Iranians have to give him a win here? Because
Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because this message obviously helps kind of reorganize markets. Reorganizing markets is obviously good for him because he's under a lot of pressure domestically to kind of wrap this thing up. So, I mean, if you're negotiating with him, you don't want to give him a win. You don't want to put this strength back in his court. So I'd be denying everything as well.
Yeah. Foreign ministry in Iran coming out saying there are initiatives to decrease tensions, but our response is that the U.S. should be there's more to get to. That's a very, very long statement. Anyways, the key here is going to be that A, who on earth is he even referring to, and B, when and if these discussions even took place. So we'll keep an eye out here for anything that changes in that regard. If you zoom out a little bit, there are a few key things to look forward to coming up this week. We do get a few economic releases that are going to be important. I mean, some of the, I don't know if you pulled up some of the defense names here this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these swings that we're seeing on individual stocks have been pretty impressive already. The one thing, and the guys alluded to here, volatility still exists, and it's going to be a very headline-driven market going forward here.
Oh my God, the VIX, well, the VXX, the ETF that I keep my eye on here. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit down from where it was trading this morning. Got about to 38.25. It's down 4 4/5, but it had gapped up substantially until that truth came in. I think we closed out 36 on Friday, Brendo, and we gapped up above 38. And then, as you can see, that line drop there on the 15-minute chart. That's when the market obviously digested President Trump's truth, and then, yeah, put this back a little bit within the range, but quite frankly, it's still well elevated basically for the last 365 days, if you're looking at the moving average there.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Friday, we were talking about, being in the 20s is not massively high as far as volatility is concerned. But if we start to see these, back and forth headlines still coming out, you're going to see 30s and 40s, I feel, continuing here for the next little while. I was just noticing the yields. I mean, there was a full, I'm just looking at the 10-year, there was a full 12, 15 basis point move high to low on the 10-year, and now we're more than 50% of the way back to essentially where it started this morning as well.
And now people are starting to talk about rate hikes, which is kind of crazy because we were talking about 2, I think, or 3
Possibly, yeah.
rate cuts this year, and now we're talking about rate hikes. I mean, I was looking a little bit more into this. You and I were talking about how this could have obviously a bit of an inflationary push. Because in one side, the job market's not doing that well, and then you're going to raise rates and make it harder for the lower income individuals to be able to borrow.
Yeah.
And that obviously creates more of a K-shaped economy. But the economists I was reading on the weekend look at this as a completely different way. They look at this from the lens of a wage price spiral. And so they're, look, if wages go, or sorry, if prices go up, that's obviously going to have an effect everywhere else in the market. So we have to increase rates to dampen down demand, even though, lower income individuals won't be able to afford the things that they need to afford, quite frankly.
I think the one thing that's certain here is that no one really has a clear view on what is happening, because it's changing, every 5 minutes, it seems, with the next tweet, and B, what the long-term effects are going to be. There was 2 different analysts I was listening to this morning on Bloomberg. One was essentially echoing that sentiment, what you were just mentioning, and the other one had the complete opposite view of essentially the oil swing. They see it being priced out of the market by fall, essentially, and going into the end of the year, we'll be back to normal, and whatever inflationary pressure there was will be gone at that point, and they're treating this as a buying opportunity.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I was actually looking at the September, I think, futures contract for oil, and it was trading somewhere around 80. For I think WTI. Yeah. So I mean, I'm saying obviously the September contract has influence on what's happening now, but that gives you the idea that at least for the moment, the market predicts that oil will be higher for longer into the rest of this year. So we'll see.
I mean, it's been a while since we've been in a market where it's really safe to say there isn't a clear path forward. There isn't a clear, projection that you can put out there, both on the market itself and individual names, based on the fact that, guys, as we've seen this morning, things can swing one way and then come back the other way in a matter of, a half an hour, 45 minutes.
I mean, what's crazy is last week we were sort of discussing about how late into the week you were getting this shift, especially after the Fed decision, toward the possibility of rate hikes, and I think we were sitting at the next meeting 6 or 8%. This morning, the chance of an April hike was 16.5% when I sat down. It's been cut in half. The chances of a hike by the end of the year, if you go out to December here, whoops, why is this not going? Here we go, out to December, if you add it up, it was at 60 or just underneath 60%. It's now sitting at 40. So there have been some pretty wild shifts in expectation, and the whole notion that we were thinking inflation from the conflict and that we were thinking that you would get rate hiked was already a big enough shift. And you saw some of that with the weakness on Wednesday with the Fed. And when it comes to that market direction you're talking about here, the NASDAQ got to correction territory, down about 10%, I think, and so you actually have a bit of a technical area that you would even be bouncing. But let's also remember, you can see the Qs lose the 200 period moving average here. We had Tesla lose the 200 period moving average. We had NVIDIA lose the 200 period moving average. Some of these names that pull back, there's NVIDIA, and I mentioned Tesla in there. Some of these names broke major key price points that even if you were to, I don't know why Tesla's taking so long to load up here. Even if you were to get a bit of a bounce, you've got these walls of support that, in theory, could turn right back into resistance. Even now, for Tesla to be green, you look at that daily chart, It's like, wow, if we're not back above the 380, how good is that really? And then you kind of throw back to NVIDIA. Well, I mean, last week, we ended the week with that 180 being a problem, 180 being a problem here for NVIDIA, and you couldn't really burst through that either. So even, like, we're underneath where we were on Friday's open, even despite this. So yeah, again, I want to find things, sort of looking at some different names, and it's like, well, what had, like, did something already have good news, or is it trading off of a key level that you can work off of? Intel had some good Mobileye news, so that already made it in play a little bit here. We talked about DraftKings and Flutter. Well, Brendan mentioned DraftKings and Flutter. Not a ton of volume, but because there's this whole throwdown against sports betting in the prediction markets, then you're going to see some strength in DraftKings and Flutter, and then they're going to be above Friday's prices as well. So looking for a couple of places where you can have things on their own catalyst until we hash things out. Because I think between now and the open, if you told me, and let's just throw up the future again, like if you told me that the ES here was going to be at 68 at the open, or would be at 65 half, I think it's perfectly reasonable that we could reverse this entire move, or we could continue it. And that could just be on the basis of one or two headlines that come in the next hour. So things can always be changing. I think you're going to want to be nimble here. For the most part, it sounds like at least a good piece of news to me, because regardless of what comes in terms of response from Iran, if you think of it as, well, pulling the strikes back for 5 days is still positive. And you can't really spin that as long as it actually happens. You can't really spin that as too negative. So hopefully we can sustain a bit of this move. But in the back of my mind, I'm going to prefer strong names that already had a bit of a catalyst to it. And one quick note between USO, and I was noting this on some of the energy names. Like, you look at USO here, and I'll pull up the 3. Like, look at the nice bounce all the way almost back to prior lows. One difference in some of the nat gas is Boyle was unable to bounce and hold that far. Like, it's almost right back at the bottom. And this is with USO not as low. Apologies for some of these crazy dark pool wicks. But Boyle, weaker right now than USO and heading toward the low. So I'm going to favor this for an energy down trade.
I was looking at Robinhood. Like, Robinhood broke through that $70 mark there on that news and came right back up. So I think this is another level here that, for unfortunately my daily, there it is. I really like this. I mean, we talked about some names that potentially might want to be on, the back burner to look to trade. If this market does continue to go a little higher right now, I mean, Robinhood did break basically on that false sort of, well, I mean, it was going lower anyways. We were down, when I sort of woke up today, we were down 1%, right, in the NASDAQ and Dow and everything. And then all of a sudden, boom, goes a dynamite right there to the upside, as we know what that was all about. Look at Robinhood right here, pretty interesting level. So $70 for them, up to 71 and change. So I just think that if we can come back into the 70 area for Robinhood, that's definitely a look for me. I mean, I was waiting for this level for a long time, and now it's here. So yeah, it could be a decent little buy area here for Robinhood if the market decides to hold up, which I think it actually will. I mean, the thing is, some of this ceasefire nonsense, what could wind up happening is it could actually spike the other way, right? Like, when all of a sudden, if, and hopefully this doesn't happen, but what if it is kind of all a little taken out of context here? And I mean, Trump tweeted it out, so I think that we can read what he wrote, but it's just, Israel still has to play nice. I was still hearing that there was still, missiles and everything flying around. So I don't, something about Tehran was getting hit by Israel again. Like, I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. So I don't necessarily think there is a ceasefire. It's nice that Donald might want to get one. And if there is more confirmation of any of this stuff, especially if he does start talking to the media, which we know is going to happen today, you definitely want to make sure that there's some sort of confirmation or something either coming out of this, the Iranian state or here out of the Department of War, because I think confirmation really sends this market one way or the other, needless to say. So you see what happens on such a dramatic move early, like that straight down $14 pretty much in a straight line. And then the battle back as we wonder what's happening, and now we sort of say, maybe it's right. So it's ears to the ground very, very much so here today. But yeah, I'm looking at Robinhood, actually. I really like Robinhood, and I like some of the bank names that, names that could be a little isolated here. from the very, very top line headline there. Like JP Morgan was down to 284, now up to 290. So not much volume going on here, but I do think that the financials might be a safe spot to play today. And then Bitcoin, like the fact that it's back over 70,000 is quite nice. They did have a move down lower. Everything was going to start really low today. Like you look at the charts like at 7 a.m. where a lot of these stocks were, we were down 38 bucks. I mean, this is it right here at 7, down to 38.80, 39, and we've spiked up about $1.50 on IBIT. So, there's lots of room to go either way. We just have to make sure that someone in the chat there, we just have to make sure that Trump, is meaningful of what he's tweeting out here, and not just trying to get oil prices to stabilize, right? I mean, oil was up over $1 a gallon across the United States over the weekend. So it does make sense that he comes out here today and says something to try to calm some of those fears. So we'll wait to see. Oil making moves lower, man. I mean, it's been a good half hour here as we got to 116 on USO. On crude, we got to, I think, it was the M contract. This is the light sweet crude oil futures. So we were way lower. We made a move up to 91. Now you're back down to 88 again. So, you're starting to see a little bit of relief here coming from the oil space, but not huge. Still a monster run, right? I mean, I think we'd all like to see this hold somewhere near 80. So we got to get a little lower there, but good bouncing spot of 82.50 right here. We'll see if that can happen later on. Tesla's still getting hit 369. So it's a nice move up off the lows there for Tesla. But again, like this name was down to 360 before that tweet. So I still think that some of these levels are possibly in danger here once the market opens up.
We're going to get to Michael Noss coming up here in a second. I'm just noticing somebody was commenting on, if you look over Sharif's shoulder here, there's a grayed out Tesla, $ Tesla. That's directly connected to what you guys are talking about in the chat. So if you vote for $ Tesla, it will somewhat or most likely appear in that
They
shape
gotta
and
spell
form.
it right, bro. No.
It's the ticker, obviously, not the name. So
Come on, guys.
Once we start talking about a little more things, that will disappear. Real quick, Joey Option's going to be in a little bit late this morning. Had a couple of things to do this morning, but he was being the nice guy that he is. Always went ahead and sent me over his homework for this morning. On the option side of things, he's watching NVIDIA today. Strike price 165 expiring on Friday. On the other side of the spectrum, call side of the spectrum, USO. So same after what just happened with USO, it's probably a pretty good move again, expiring on Friday. So again, Joey Option is going to be in a little bit later on this morning. We look forward to his arrival. As I mentioned, let's get to Michael Noss. Even Michael Noss was complaining this morning about how Trump was ruining his homework as he was looking at some charts, and then comes in this morning and sees the market just absolutely screaming back higher. Happy Monday, Mr. Noss. I apologize for your homework being ruined. As I think many people, had that, 180 to do this morning as we were doing our prep.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was, I prepared the presentation. I brought the kids to school. We were down like almost 1+% at some point. And I come back and we're up 4% almost for a second on the IWMs. Craziness.
Yeah, specifically on the small cap side of things. But you wanted to look at a couple of reversal type ideas, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, starting on a higher time frame here with the overall market.
Yeah, and I just want to show how, there's obviously, even when things are gapping up like this, there's a lot of emotions going on right now, and it's getting really hard to kind of parse through, even for people that I talk to who trade the news. You guys know that I don't, but even for those people, they're like, it's almost impossible at this point. So I just wanted to talk about why I had some holdings into Friday, why I bought some things on Friday, which, of course, I wish I could have gotten this to you before, but who knows the future with what the tweets are going to come out. But how you can kind of shut off a bunch of this noise with very simple kind of data-driven approaches. And all of this I was able to do very simply with AI, and just to see whether or not it makes sense to kind of panic out at lows where some people are, or when could potentially be times to start to pick up securities. And, so for this particular chart right here, the first thing that you want to do is you want to look at an unusual pattern that's going on. And we're just looking at a weekly chart of the SPY. And to be honest, 4 weeks down in a row is fairly unusual, and I'll show you that from the back test as well. You can see one period of time before where we had 4 red weeks in a row, and that led to a little bit of a bounce. But we can do better than just going back and looking at the chart and saying, you know, what happened the last time this happened, especially with kind of AI. So I went and I used TrendSpider for this because they have a really simple single stock back tester. Just said, okay, what happens if you buy every time there is 4 weeks down in a row in the SPY and you hold for 1 week? So what is the probability that we are going to be up or are we going to be down next week, and by how much? And that little green chart on the very bottom just shows the amount of winners and the amount of losers. You can see, first of all, not a lot of trades, and that's interesting because it means you found something that is relatively rare. If there was, you know, thousands of trades that took place over this backtest window, which goes all the way back to, I believe, 1995 when the S&P 500 was created, you would go, okay, well, this is a fairly common event. It's kind of noisy, but you can look at this equity curve, and this is what happens again if you just put your account on, when you're down 4 weeks in a row and you sell it a week later, and you can see the equity curve looks fairly good. Not perfect, but fairly good. And it's about 62% of the time that you're up. A little bit better than a 50-50. So that kind of gives you a bit of a deep breath and says, okay, well, at the very least, if I was panicking at some point, I know there's at least some probability that we're going to bounce, even tweets notwithstanding, which we can't predict. Just going back, again, that's, you know, almost 30 years of data. Most of the time, not always, it seems like that's about a good time to be putting money into the market instead of back out. I realize that I just duplicated the next chart, so we'll just go down to this one here, which is asking the same question, but now we're talking, instead of 1 week out, now this was 3 months out. So what happens when you buy after being down 4 weeks, 3 months out? So you get a couple interesting phenomenons here. First of all, you're right only 65% of the time, so you're only right a little bit more often, but this equity curve looks a lot worse. So this is where, again, you can spend a lot of time not looking at the news and still a lot of time thinking about the market, because why is this the case? Well, this covers a lot of the year 2000 and 2008, and that's why you have this choppy mess all the way till the far right edge of the equity curve, and then you start to make money. Because if the market's already in a bear market and you're down 4 weeks in a row, it doesn't seem to be the time that you really want to buy that much. You still have a 65% chance it's higher, but a lot of times it's lower by a significant amount. But in bull markets, if you kind of zoom into every time there's a bull market, the far left-hand side of the chart is before the dot-com bubble, and then the far right-hand of the chart is after the great financial collapse. So when the market is doing well and it's in a bull market, it does seem to be a pretty good time to maybe wade some into the market. So it's a really good way to kind of zoom out and kind of forget the noise and the tweets as much as you can and look at some data to try to give clear-headed decision-making. The last chart here is just the S&P 500, and highlighted on the chart are the last couple times that we've seen this, where you have 4 weeks down in a row, and then you have your buy after that, and then the little squiggly black line at the very end is just the system saying, based off of all of the back tests, this is the path that you could expect on average the market to do a little bit going forward over the next month or so. And you can see it's not straight up into new all-time highs. It's, squiggly kind of line up and getting into, I think coincidentally enough, back to all-time highs after months from now. But then that blue shaded area is the variance. So that's how low we could go based off the data in the back test, or how high we could go based off the data in the back test. But the main takeaway, especially now that, this information obviously would have been better to give you guys on Friday than on Monday, is that when things get very, very loud, there's nothing wrong with just completely stepping back. Cash is a position, day trading, going to cash at the end of every day, I think is great for that kind of stuff as well. Or, you could do what I do, which is shut off the news as much as physically possible, dive into the data, and let that kind of guide decision-making in a little bit more calm and relaxed manner.
Yeah, being available or having the resources available to take advantage of opportunities when they are presented to you is so key. Just to put you on the spot, you probably haven't done this yet, but it would be also interesting to see, if you dug down into even sector level data, based on this same concept, is there something maybe standing out, way more than something else. If, tech is down 4 weeks in a row, what happens after that? If industrials, if healthcare, a lot of people talking about utilities even, if any of those groups are down 4 weeks in a row, what happens, going forward from that standpoint?
Yeah.
Is there something from, I don't know if you've done that, back test yet or not, but is there something from that level that is standing out to you at this point?
I haven't, but that's good. Now I know what I'm going to talk about on Friday. But I think it's
You're welcome.
interesting because, my brain instantly goes to what I would expect to happen. And because we're looking at the SPY, I would expect tech to carry the same kind of philosophy because tech is 30% of the S&P 500. So it makes sense that these things would move a little bit in tandem. But I am interested, especially when you were talking about more defensive sectors, like you mentioned, industrials and utilities, which are historically, I think now they might be all part of the AI trade, but historically more defensive sectors, what they look like. So just right off the top of my head, what I would assume to happen is that tech would move with the kind of 4 week pattern, and then also maybe defensive sectors would move against it. But that's the beauty of, what I do is with stats and the world that we have open to us now with AI, where anybody can start to do this kind of stuff, is I'll test it and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, the reason I ask, obviously, a lot of people, given that we're now 6-ish%, let's call it, off the highs, for the S&P, a lot of people starting to say, okay, are there opportunities going to be presenting themselves as your entire point here has been this morning? Not necessarily on an individual day, but maybe even coming up in the next week or so. So great stuff. We'll look forward to that. Michael Noss, have a great week.
Have a great week.
Thank you as always, Michael. When others panic, sometimes it is good to buy the dip, but that's one of those things that I think it's always good to keep in mind. But there's also there was a good conversation in the chat going on, as Michael and everyone's been talking about the headlines and the news and how crazy things are. It's like, I saw someone say, well, stock should only trade on the fundamentals of the companies and forget all this headline stuff. There's a few things to unpack there. Like, one, you can't necessarily separate a large global energy shock from fundamentals in the first place. So there's that aspect of it where you can't really hide, because even CEOs have been talking about how difficult it would be to predict if this conflict were to extend, and then all of a sudden you had the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz go more than another couple of weeks, and then suddenly could we be talking about 175 oil? Like, there's all these downstream, like, worst case scenarios that really do affect things on a fundamental level. And then on the other side of that conversation is we all have to remember that everybody has different time horizons. There's going to be day traders and swing traders and investors, and because of that, that's why price action matters. That's why analysis matters, and having your own strategies. If you're looking to buy things for 10 years out, then maybe you don't care about all these headlines. But if you're thinking about the next week, you're thinking about today, then these things are going to absolutely matter. And so we do need to keep our ear to the ground. And is it fun that you could be sitting there in a trade and then a headline hits and that's it? There's nothing, you could be trending and everything and trending up, trending down, the headline hits and you get stopped out. That's par for the course. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that reality. We have Goolsby talking right now, talking about how difficult it's going to be for the Fed right now to make decisions. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? That's why you guys have the tough job, there, Goolsby. But it's just to keep in mind, everybody, that everyone's going to have those different time horizons, and absolutely, fundamentals can be fantastic and I think important. But even in this particular case, you have so many industries, so many individual companies that are affected by oil prices, and you cannot get away from it. Just like we can't get away from the refill from Randy.
That's good. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, Randy. We'll always take a nice loaded up coffee here. Yeah. All right. Cheers.
Gotta get that cup of Joe as well. Just don't want that to get too expensive.
Yeah. A cup of where is Joe, by the way? He's coming here pretty soon. Yeah. Look, I mean, every day the market is just a casino that opens up and you put your money in and you hope to get more out than you put in. I mean, no matter what the day is, there could be a day with no headlines. There could be a day with full of headlines like today's going to be. But at the end of the day, you're the one that has to hit the keys. And, we've been getting some really great responses on Twitter here. And someone asked for a shout out, so you're going to get one right here. Greg with 5 Gs. his P&L the last 30 days, he wanted me to show everybody. He's up $66,000 in the last 30 days. I'm not sure exactly what you've been trading, but you've been a watch since the COVID days. So we hit, thank you so much, and that is awesome. And I don't even have my stream deck open, but I will in a second here. Here we go, ready? In 1 second, I'll hit the awesome button. But there it is right there, so yeah, there he goes. So anyways, thanks for that look there. And yeah, so that's what I mean. You never know. And yeah, one day you will hope to buy us drinks. Yeah, any day. Right there, I said, great job. That's a huge return, obviously. TQQ's ONDS says Dane Generous today. XPEV is on people's mind. Obviously, USO. Hope this is not manipulation. It is manipulation. Everything in this market is manipulation. So welcome to the market, of course. A Micron, Nebius as well. AMD and Apple, says Aaron. So there's a few things. Tesla short at 373. There's an interesting call. What's up, Michael Byrne, as well. So there's lots of stuff to trade every single day. But yeah, look, that's all the market is, right? Trump comes out with this statement to try to manipulate, the oil prices and to try to, get better feels for the market. Whether or not all of that is true, we'll wind up seeing. Goolsby coming out here as well, trying to manipulate the futures for the Fed funds rate. And all he's talking about is that right now as well. So, you got to talk about inflation, and you got to just go with some of the stats and what's been there. Inflation's been creeping up a little bit, so that's not great. We have housing coming this week as well. We have KB Homes reporting. Not too many on the reporting side of things this week, but we'll see from the housing market, see how that's going. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac has been moving around as well. So, yeah, with right now, Bitcoin's not doing much at 70,000. This could be also a trade here if we look at IBIT. Did have a nice move lower and then a booming move at 7 o'clock and now trying to figure itself out. So the whole market right now is in wait and see until Trump right now talking with Fox Business. So we have no idea where this is going to go and what he's going to say. I just think ears to the ground. It looks like we're getting better and better here on the price of USO, meaning lower. So oil is starting to go a little lower here, which should, lead to a fact that maybe this sort of 5-day piece or lack of bombing or lack of damage being done to some of the energy infrastructure. Hopefully that will hold. And then, but it's going to be definitely response driven today. I mean, we just got to sort of, hear what happens and then fire back. So I'm excited for this market to open up. I mean, early look on the imbalances, it's very, very early. So we might not have anything on here, but ABEV, yeah, there's really nothing on here of any substance. If we come over to the screen, yeah, there it is. I mean, BAC, I don't know, Snapchat. I'm still watching. All the volume's going to be here with oil for right now and gold. So watching out what's going on right there right now, but not too much in the hopper right now. Looks like we're starting to go a little lower here on oil, which is nice. Underneath VWAP, underneath the 50-period moving average, your 200 period is now 118. So it's looking pretty good right now, that oil heading lower here. So maybe things seem to be getting a little better in the Middle East right now, with oil getting down 8%. With I said, man, oil and gas prices skyrocketing this weekend. So hopefully it can come back, come back down in now. So yeah, I'm debating just going short on USO here, hoping that maybe this story is somewhat legit here. So anyways, here we go, man. Down 8% USO.
Yeah, Trump saying, apparently on Fox, saying that Iran wants to make a deal badly on Fox News, and that's helping the market. I mean, the SPY's bouncing off VWAP. Sean already mentioned USO to the downside there. So reiterating some of the comments we saw in that truth. Just gonna double check because Boyle broke the low. That's down almost 10% now. USO 8. This is down 9.5. It's yeah, we're definitely getting a little bit of a market bounce in here.
Here we go.
NVIDIA is starting to go as well. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see after this, talk that President Trump has on Fox Business. Do we hear anything further from Iran on the backside of this, and then we get a little bit of a shift? But for now, things are looking good again. Again, bounced off VWAP in the market, energy back down. Looks like we're back on course, heading towards some of those highs. But remember, we're still just talking Fridays, going back into some Friday levels for sure. Oh, we just got a poll up as well. Ooh, I like this. But I think it's an easy one. We'll see. What is the biggest story of the day? See, now, it's not Tesla EV.
Does Tesla even have a story?
It's not dollar. Well, you could make a decent argument of dollar and Forex. And geopolitical and oil energy are the same thing. So I'm just going to vote for, because I think if you vote oil energy, that's kind of geopolitical. You're kind of hitting both. But I can make an argument that either one of those is basically the same thing. So I suspect most people are going to vote those. And Tesla, yeah, good try, but I don't think you're going to make the top of that poll. That's for sure.
No, Fed speaking, and yeah, easy poll right there, but make sure you guys go fill it out. S&P futures right now up 2%, NASDAQ up 2%. So you're starting to finally go higher here as Trump speaking on Fox Business News, talking about the deal with Iran or how there's talks were heated up last night. So that's nice to hear, and we'll just see. Hopefully we can hope for a forward look here into the oil futures, and maybe it looks like we're going to get a little lower here on USO to start the day. So that's nice. Let's just see if it winds up holding it. Like obviously looking at VWAP, and should have shorted it on that little bit of a break there at 113.50, but market going lower here for oil. This is what we look like right now. CLM, so here it is, man, 86 bucks right now. So Trump understands that higher oil prices are going to affect the economy, is what we're hearing. So, you know, obviously, as we got to start the Monday with a good talk, right? And I think that's exactly what Donald has done here, just waiting for Iran to sort of come out and maybe say that, yes, we have had some talks. I think that would really get oil moving lower here. So, yeah, looking at USO should be exciting. Just trying to fill this out, man. I just got USO, NVIDIA, in the market on here. I think it's a little premature to start writing down some ideas. It's definitely, you know, worth waiting on, especially sitting on your hands. I heard Michael say that, you know, cash is a position as well. So obviously that's true. I wish I would have gone into cash when we had that. We told you there's many smarter guys out here than I. A couple weeks ago we had that talk, and it was decent percentage you guys were in cash, even in your long-term portfolio. So congratulations. You've been able to save about 3 or 4% on the market. Maybe getting your money back in here on some of these beat-up names might be a decent idea, like a Tesla or Google or Amazon, something. So there it is, man. USO just bounces again a little bit there from 110 and change back up to 112. So yeah, going to be a fun one. 8:45. Let's go back over to the desk and we'll talk about some more names. SMCI was a mover, of course, on Thursday, Friday as well. We could look at that one today.
That bled its own blood.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Crazy. Yeah, more on Trump's interview from Fox Business here. Trump not sure what Iran's media is talking about when it comes to the comments, saying essentially they have no idea what he is talking about. So shockingly, no one seems to have an idea of what anyone's talking about when it comes to any of this matter. The market liking this, though. Back higher we go here for the SPY anyways. Yeah, Goolsby still speaking as well. But yeah, we were just talking about Ethereum there. Crypto, wild swings as well. Bitcoin downside initially and then back up higher to essentially where we were on Sunday night on these headlines as well. Again, remember, late Sunday, the initial report or the initial truth that came out from Trump was giving them 48 hours notice before he started to strike some of the infrastructure. So this essentially puts the pause on that for a 5-day period. So down initially on Bitcoin, back higher here this morning. But yeah, you were just noting BMNR with more purchases.
Yeah, apparently now Tom Lee's BMNR, Brendo, holds 3.9% of all Ethereum. They also added, according to the reports here, 65,000 ETH last week. That brings their total ETH coins to 4.66 million. Obviously, BMNR has done quite poorly as of late, as there's been a rotation out of risk assets. But I was just speaking to you about there. If you don't have Truth Social, and you don't really want to download it and have a look at exactly when President Trump truthed about that 48-hour deadline on the weekend, you only need to go to the chart on Bitcoin, Brendo.
It'll tell you.
And you'll see immediately when that truth came out, because it reacted quite negatively right down to the right and continued to sell basically into last night.
Yeah. Tech lagging a little bit here. I just pulled up IBIT as well. We're back to positive once again, but crawling higher for both Ethereum and Bitcoin on these headlines, guys. Going to be one of those days, it seems like, or it's pretty clear anyways, where everything relies on what the next truth is.
True, you know what? True, but like then there's going to be some things that are actually working off of key levels. Like for now, you can look right over at Bitcoin and say that last week the 70,000 level was, let's just say, interesting to say the least. Let me zoom it out a little bit here, because we basically went back and forth. But if you were to draw a line at 70,000, it was pretty clean several times with bounces, like you'd try to go under and then be able to hold, or we did consolidations off that level, and then you go back to the end of the week where once we broke, it was just a fade under the 70,000 level. Well, we're above it, and we just bounced off it. So at least in this particular case, you can look back and simply say, if we hold that 70K level, then I'm going to like the longs over in BTC. And we've already made that one bounce. So if we get another one at the open, and we're not that far, we've only gone to like 70,700 or so. Like this hasn't really gone that far, but it's still on the upside of that level. And on the IBIT for myself, that's going to work out to 39. It's like 39.70 or so on IBIT, like right in around here. And on Friday, basically looking to short into that level, it worked the entirety of the day. It was just a scalp trade almost all day long. It was very similar on Thursday, except for like one late break there as well. So, I just see it as, in this particular case, right now the news is being reacted to as positive. Like the NASDAQ and the EA, we're getting pretty complacent about a 2% up market, which is a weird thing to be. Usually we're pretty happy about a 2% market up. So you find things that are above some key support levels, of which IBIT, clearly, to me, Bitcoin above 70 is going to be one, and IBIT above that 39.75 will be one as well. I'd love for it to give you a clean dip and rip at the open, but there's lots of ways to play trend. It could simply hold VWAP, which will matter more later in the session. Basically, I want to see the reverse of what we had on Friday, where you could essentially just short every single one of the pops. I'd look for the reverse of that, where that level turns into support instead.
All right, I'm just going to send out the sticky note here. Yeah, look, I mean, my eyes are probably just going to be all on the futures and on oil today. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty simple thing to trade. I was looking at right here 110 possibly as a break on USO here, just coming right in as we're getting more and more talk that, yeah, there was some decent talks that occurred according to President Trump anyways on Fox Business News right now that happened Saturday night. So we'll see if there's any sort of a truth to that. I'm actually going to try to short it against this 112.20. If we can come back up here, sure, I'm waiting at 111.80 right now, which is just this little bump up level right there. And then I'm only going to try to give this 50 cents. I mean, it is whipping and rocking around here. And we can easily, I would hope anyways, punch out unless we get another instantly dramatic story. We should be able to punch out of this one. So I'm going to give this a 12.20. If it breaks 112.20, we're going to get out. But I'm going to looking short oil today. I don't really think there's too much else to do right now. If you're going to look over, I mean, there's lots of stocks to do, but it's all going to be energy based. We have that poll up. Make sure you guys do that and go get over into my Twitter there and let me know what you guys are voting for and what you guys want to talk. But these two are basically the same, geopolitical, oil, energy. So we're going to look over there to see what is going on. The dollar, we sort of talked a little bit about that. That's always going to be a story. I think almost all of those stories, except for Tesla, are kind of all attached at the hip. But look at Carnival up 7% here today as well, right? As, more oil, ease on oil prices should send Carnival back up to the upside. We talked about gas, propane, all of that starting to go back up, so that's going to be a good one. We did have some situations there. There was an unfortunate situation at LaGuardia, I guess, where there was a plane accident there. But, I mean, Delta still upside as well. Like a lot of these airlines, right, names like Jets and things like that still keep on moving around as well. So Jets ETF up 5%. So it looks like we're getting a little bit better right now as far as all of the travel stocks are concerned. Okay, so here's oil right now, still down 9%. This is what's going to help out any of these names as we continue to talk about the energy stories. So yeah, this is what we're doing right now. Nice little run up right here in Bitcoin as well. For IBIT, just made a huge move up to 71,000. So we'll see if that can hold. Its current top about 71.5 up there at $40.50. So yeah, so far so good here. Anybody that had a swing trade on from Friday, hopefully it was of the long nature there and or short commodities, because it looks like that's going to be the good trade, especially with oil and gold both going downside there today. Gold almost all the way back, actually. Was down 4% at its lows. Seems like we're almost back now, only down 1% right now on GLD. So nice little run up there. As let's just go back and check USO. Did it break that lows? No, it did not. So we're still waiting for that. We almost got short there. 111.80 is what we're waiting for. All right, you know, it should be a good ride here. Again, ears to the ground with the news. We have Adara back today. That should be good. And yeah, lots of stuff happening. The Fed speaking here, Trump speaking, and we're still waiting to hear an official word from Iran.
Whether that will come or not is remains to be seen as well. I mean, some of these comments that are coming out are just, you know, back and forth on that same sense. The simple fact that nobody seems to agree upon what has been agreed upon. But it's worth noting the move in oil back downside followed that list of countries that have reportedly, I think it was Axios that came out and said there was a list of countries that have been acting as mediaries, you know, passing notes essentially, or messages back and forth between Iran and the U.S.
And one of the countries we had already seen involved in some of the tensions, Turkey, that is.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair to Iran, they said they didn't try to hit them directly, but we know that there's a U.S. base in Salik, Turkey, which could have been targeted. Egypt, Pakistan, and Turkey are the three countries being discussed as acting as sort of intermediaries between the United States and Iran to try to help alleviate the tensions. Obviously, the other Gulf states are involved in the conflict and probably wouldn't make great intermediaries, but any de-escalation in the tensions, Brendo, I think are going to be excellent for equities, as, you know, inflation won't be as much of a worry. Also, of course, it will kind of help alleviate some of the money that's moving away from these risk-on assets. Can you believe people are getting into treasuries even though rates are slated possibly to go back up? And we know that, you know, rate yields are inversely correlated with bond prices. So people are buying these bonds anyway, even though as rate concerns continue to rise. But there's a bunch of other stuff other than oil that's moving here. Shocking, right? We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Apogee, APGE. It's up 13.5%. It had a positive phase 3 trial for their phase 2, excuse me, for a drug here that deals with atopic dermatitis. You also have DraftKings, Brendo, up nicely here, about 6 2/3, almost 7, as apparently there is going to be a bunch of U.S. lawmakers and a bipartisan bill aimed at banning these prediction markets from offering sports event contracts. We know that had hurt their business quite substantially as Kalshi and Polymarket basically took over their moat, and they no longer had exclusivity there, despite the fact that they were paying taxes through the nose. Jurisdictions like Ohio take a lot off the top. So there's some other stuff moving here.
Speaking of Kalshi, I think it was on Sunday, Saturday afternoon or Sunday. Probability of a recession now is up above 70%. So.
Yeah, I remember that.
Not good.
Our word.
Yeah, coming
especially
back
in this country too. It's being floated around quite aggressively.
Whether or not we'll actually see the data to back that up, who knows? Quick look at the economic calendar here. It's going to be a quiet day today. Chicago Fed National Activity Index came out there at 8:30, negative 0.11. Tomorrow we get some employment data, some non-farm productivity for Q4. That's about it. The S&P Global Composite PMI 945, and then the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index at 10 o'clock. Really, the only significant day is going to be Friday. Michigan Consumer Sentiment at 10 o'clock can move the market. As we've seen many, many times, that does have an inflation portion to it. So we'll watch out for Friday morning at 10 o'clock. I mean, crypto going to be on watch, as we said, throughout the day here. I was just noting Tesla popping back up. Yeah, back to 372 here for Tesla. A couple of headlines last week on the back of NVIDIA's conference, on the back of, I mean, this chip conversation continues to swing back towards Tesla in the sense that, you know, and I referred to that investor day they had at the end of last year where Elon actually came out and said they'll buy whatever they can from TSM, from Samsung, from whoever it sounded like, but then they're also going to need more and probably will build a fab and make their own.
And that's what they're talking about. But to be fair to Tesla, like when you think about how much Meta is going to spend this year, or what they say they're going to spend, Amazon as well, Microsoft, Google as well, Tesla and Apple have been kind of a little bit silent when it comes to CapEx, not as much anyway as the rest of the Mag 7. And here we've got a number. So we've got about $20 billion initial phases to cost in the tens of billions of dollars. We're talking about building up their fab 20 billion they're saying they're going to spend in 2026. They spend about 9 in 2025. Look, they want this fab. They want it. It's going to be an AI-focused chips, building AI-focused chips, I should say, at a massive scale. It marks a shift, of course, to vertical integration. That's what Tesla does. They are vertically integrated companies, from batteries to software to the final product. Musk said production levels could rival millions of NVIDIA's Blackwell chips annually. Always, an intention for hyperbole there. Semiconductor production, according to the reports, slated for late 27 with volumes ramping up in 28. And he's like, look, we're not going to just make for ourselves here. We're going to make about 80% of the output. We're going to use the other 20% we're going to sell.
Getting back into decent levels here for Tesla, 350, I guess, would be really the top of this consolidation. If you zoom out onto a daily chart, we're not quite there yet. But, I mean, it's going to get to a point here where Tesla starts looking pretty interesting, guys.
It's getting there, for sure. Obviously, Friday, the last couple of days, were not very kind to Tesla. I like this. Elon's been talking about this push. If we can't get enough, then we're going to try to get them ourselves. And he's sort of proven where there's a will, there's a way, between robotics and everything, and all of their ambition. They're going to need a steady supply, and I think this makes a heck of a lot of sense for them. Unfortunately, as was mentioned several times, you are breaking down in a pretty decent way here. So it is what it is. Like, I think we're headed into the low 300s until proven otherwise. And certainly today's a good start. But if we're not above $380 on Tesla, then to me, like, that big support level that we loved has gotten lost. It got lost on Friday, and it was a pretty nasty day after that happened. If we can't make that nice little rounded bottom to there, then the trend is still going to be intact. It's an important close today. If we can't really get back above, or at least retest that 380, then I'm not going to be super bullish at these levels. At least for the trade today, however. I mean, Tesla, like everything else, it was a weird barcode here. I was sort of watching it barcode at 369. And I know where VWAP doesn't really matter at this time of day, but that 369 I think is going to be a little bit interesting, because we just sat. When the market was pulling back in, the stock just sat there forever and went nowhere. So it looks like there might be a 369 level worth watching. But other than that, it's a 380 for me.
I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, but we had the trade of the day. It happened at 8 o'clock. Right there, oil just gave me $2 plus, man. We just got 10.10, Phil. We got a bid at 110.10 right there. So it's almost $2 right there to the downside. So we'll have to wait to see. We told you that we were going to go short. Well, I mean, literally this price is what we mentioned, 111.80. So, we did it. We got a little bit out there. And now we'll just wait to see how much more we can get out if this continues to go down. We'll punch out a little bit more there at 111, but a decent cover. I mean, this could turn out to be an like this. We could wind up punching out of this one, but we are short right now on USO. Already took a little bit of profit on that, so obviously should have rang the whole register down there at 111, at 110, but looks like we're getting back up. And if we get stopped out, remember where that stop out is. We are out of just over half right now of this position as it's coming back up against us. So yeah, pretty wild ride here for oil. I wasn't really even expecting to get any of those bids. I just sort of put them down there, and we put this one. We saw the bottom was 109.50 or so we did take that 110, Phil. Just sitting there, we have another one at 110.40, and we'll stay a little lower here at 111.20s to see if this does come back in. But this is a pretty scary position to take a lot of shares in. That is for sure USO. So we'll take a little bit out here and make sure that we do have obviously enough in the quiver here as this market will open up. Remember, it's already open, so that's the thing. Like, don't have to wait for 9:30 or anything. A lot of volume going through here on USO. Oh, we almost got it. There we go. 111.23 is just filling out right there. So hopefully there's going to be another, for me, another big trade on, but this is a pretty big one right now. So here we go, man. Oil right now, 50 cents in the money, and out of more than half of this trade as we sit here right now. It's 9:03. All right, maybe we can start doing, I'm going to get the sticky note out here. Obviously, been trading here so far today. So Neil's note is out. Our watch list is out, so go check those all out.
A minor headline.
Or some trade ideas.
Minor headline. Well, I don't want to call it a minor headline. You guys can judge for yourself. Japanese government considering intervention in oil futures. Worth keeping in mind, any further longer delay in the Strait affects Asia more than it does pretty much everywhere else. They stand to lose the most with a prolonged standoff. So
Here it comes.
you know, it definitely makes some sense there that you're going to have Japan have to react. But I don't think it's a huge headline because I don't know how much of a difference Japan can make, if we're being real. But we got to talk some future and our free watch list.
Quick, before we do that, I just wanted to show that move on exactly what Neil was just mentioning there. There's the left side is oil futures. We had that spike to the downside once again for oil on the back of that Japanese note. So as you and I were just discussing, I mean, there's going to be more and more influence coming from other parts of the world on this very matter, I think, who are very much dependent on this.
Exactly. Like I was just saying to you, I'm like, I mean, even the countries that wanted to take a side, or sorry, that wanted to stay on the side and not choose a side in this whole thing are going to be forced in economically.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that with England, you're seeing that with France allowing, you know, use of their air bases. Now you're seeing Japan wanting to intervene in some of the oil futures. So I think they really won't have a choice here, as, you know, gets a lot more expensive for them and their citizenry. Let's look at the futures here, guys. A little bit late. Sorry, 648.5 is where we close out on Friday on the SPY. No, it's not the futures, but this is the SPY ETF. We're up 1.85, so a nice move there on President Trump's tweet. Look, we're still putting in a downtrend. We're no longer consolidating near the highs, but the deal is we're going to look at that 662.5. We got above it on the spike. We're trading below it now. The reason I say that is because we were using 662.5 as an area of support basically all of last week until we lost it. So that's resistance level 1. If we sell off, we're looking at that 655 area, Brendo, as support.
All right, if you haven't done so, as we mentioned, free watch list below. Link is in the description. Second link will get you to the sign up page for that. Grab that, has everything you need to know on it, every single pre-market, and then you come join us at 8 o'clock. We'll get you set for the open. This was, if you missed it or are just joining, you've missed a lot already this morning. This was the original, there we go. This was the original truth from Trump talking about this 5-day pause, if you will, on any attacks coming from the U.S. on infrastructure, energy infrastructure over in Iran. And that was on the back of quote unquote constructive talks between the two sides. Iran immediately came out, said they have no idea what he's talking about. We get this list of countries then thereafter essentially holding both hands, passing notes back and forth between, and that caused this move. So this is oil on the left here. The initial flush was on that post from Trump. We get a nice rally back, and then here we are back downside on this.
Yeah, well, it's you summarized it pretty well there. I mean, like, the U.S. paused planned strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure for 5 days. The key driver here, at least for the moment, is the risk premium unwind as traders priced out the worst-case geopolitical scenarios. President Trump had previously demanded Iran reopen the strait within 48 hours, but that timeline remains uncertain. We're going to have to see as the day develops, Brendo, exactly what happens.
And I think a lot of people are going to be asking the question essentially, like, how do you trade this? How do you possibly trade this when it's just, you know, one way massively and then the other way the next half an hour and then back to the upside on the next tweet? Volatility is good, guys, but how on earth do we look at this?
I mean, I'm already in position, and I think you just, do what we've been doing, man, and that is to look for, you know, for me, it's fade bumps, and, you know, we get one right there, we put it on, we get out. Trying to hold on to a piece, obviously, as we talk about having a little less than 50% rate now, but at the same time, like, making sure that you do capture profit, you know, when you do have these bigger swings. And I mean, you know, like, that was the move up. We said we were going to short it against this sort of level there. We've seen it bounce off a couple times. So the fact that it did again, like, doesn't surprise me. And we actually do it right there again as well. And I see this is the thing, like, not reloading it, right? So making sure that you're able to capture some profits when they lie. And then when you have these huge moves down, like, you know, I'm sitting here at a area where I thought there could be some resistance, there was. And I'm sitting here at an area where I thought there could be some support, there was. So, you know, you are going to have these wicked moves there. So you want to make sure that you have your bids and your offers and you punch out when punching out is necessary, and you know, that's covering your position is what I mean by punching out. So, and on both sort of extreme sides of it, right? So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a tricky trade today. It's just going to be a very volatile one. You know, and you are going to get stuck in positions just like you are on equities and things like that as they start to dance around. And I'm not sure. It's been pretty stable here, man. This is from 8:43. So like the last half hour, we've pretty much done limited moves considering what we had done sort of earlier there in the day. So let's just continue to watch out for USO today. Like I said, I have another bid right now about 20 cents lower than this, and we're just getting out on the moves here. And then if something strikes, I do have a low bid right now of 110.50 as well. So I think it's just a matter of getting in and out. I mean, this is what we wrote down. Levels got hit, man, and I also did write down on here, this is a news day, right? So stay very, very focused, be alert, and be patient. You know, I think that's a way around all of this. So here it is, man. This is headline news-driven tape, geopolitical catalyst, macro chatter can shift at any momentum here. We have Chicago Fed. We already had that out. Construction spending as well. So it's a news-driven, data-light day. And there it is right there. So we go awesome, and oh my God, one more time, as there we go, man, we got our 111.12 there again. So like I said, it might be early for the trade of the day. Hopefully you're able to put on something bigger, but we've already hit our daily goal there for the day on USO. If we punch out right now, it's there, but yeah, willing to lose a little bit if we break higher, but we'll hold on to the short right now for USO. And like I said, man, that's it. That's a daily goal met with the very first trade again, similar to what we did on Rivian. So yeah, it's only 9:09, and we're pretty happy so far with the performance. But obviously, we're still going to be here, you know, hands on. The market today, I think, is going to be a good one, but wait for those opportunities.
Yeah, good to see. And the only thing that's making me a little bit, look, I like Boyle a little bit better today, but you know, better is probably the wrong word to use when we're talking about weakness. It's for whatever reason breaking lower and continuing to go lower, even though we've held the low in oil futures. But the way I want to approach this is when we talk about patience, if you don't get obvious levels, and it might be difficult, I wanted us pulling back into prior lows or something like that, or maybe we'll have to look at VWAP because that's a place I like. I'm pointing out where the best shorts came in on Friday, which was let it just trend up for a while, and then it would just sort of break trend. Let it show a clear trend up for a while and break trend. I know in the afternoon it ended up being a long in kind of a reversal kind of play, but that was also based on a headline. So like that long really in the afternoon on Friday, if you remember, also corresponded with a small positive headline, and that was a reason for it. But any trend up, I'll just wait for it to break the trend and be patient. But if we don't see VWAP, if we don't see some prior levels, then that's what I want to work for. And you know, down 9%. It's not that it's down 9% to USO's 8. It's really more that you know USO has held that low and is trying to hold that low, where really this has been making some fresh lows over here in Boyle for a while. So I kind of thought this would have pushed us back into VWAP or a consolidation similarly. But yeah, I'll be looking for that pullback VWAP. Look for those trend breaks. If it just sits there trending up for a half an hour or 30 or 40 minutes, whatever it might be, I'll try to get that trend break short.
To Palantir, coming back in a little bit right now, but was holding higher, more success on the government side of things for Palantir. With their Maven smart system, officially the quote-unquote program of record now for the Pentagon.
And that gives them that long-term commitment, you know, that funding stability, as well as the, you know, the broader deployment across other parts of the military. The transition is expected to take effect by the end of the current fiscal year, which ends in September. It's a command and control AI platform. It integrates data from satellites, from drones, from sensors, and it enables real-time battlefield intelligence, as well as threat detection and targeting support. It's designed to enhance decision-making with humans still responsible for the final decisions. But when you look at how this thing's been operating, it's kind of crazy. So it'll look at what's your objective? Okay, we want to hit Iran. All right, so then it'll delineate to you a list of targets that it thinks are strategically viable. It'll tell you what order to hit these things to get maximum damage, what weapons to use, what time of the day to hit them. It's next level stuff. It's fully autonomous, but Palantir wants to make the very, very important point that humans are in the loop and they authorize the actual hits. There's no autonomous system without human authorization.
And let's be clear, this is not new. It's just new for the Pentagon. So, or the program of record for the Pentagon going forward, which obviously Palantir is going to like. Quick headline on Grab. We have this here, I believe. Food Panda, little panda face on the blue. You know, the guys on the bikes, the scooter, the panda face on the blue cooler thing. Grab just acquired that company.
Interesting.
So for $600 million, Grab picking up Food Panda delivery. I mean, this is
They're all
crazy.
over the
Grab's
road here.
$3.50 now.
Their drivers always respect the traffic signals
Yeah.
and everything. They
Constant.
don't drive on the sidewalks ever, Brendo.
Look, the weird thing about Palantir is it's not really going anywhere. If you think about it from the defense standpoint, it's like, okay, well, if good news with regards to in the Middle East is going to bring down defense names and bring down oil names and bring up tech names, and then that's good for Palantir. But then, but the defense names go down, and it's kind of a defense name too. So it's this weird in the middle that Palantir is going, where it hasn't broken down from support for the last couple of weeks. Actually, you say it for the whole month, basically, like this 148 to 150 level. It's just been held, but we haven't broken out the top at 156 outside of one day. So I don't. The only way I would see to trade this as a day trader is, well, if it gets to 156, short the pops. If it gets down into 150, look for a bounce long. And if it's sitting exactly in the middle of that range, I'm not doing anything. I wouldn't do anything with this. And maybe it's not the fact that it's caught on both ends of this, where it's, again, being a defense name is going to give it a bump some days, and then the other days being a growth name in tech and following the markets is going to push it in the other direction. But the proof is in the pudding with regards to either way. It doesn't matter my explanation. Like, who cares whether that's right or wrong? It's still what's happening in the overall stock. So I think you just have to be patient with this. It's exactly in the middle of that range for the last couple of weeks now. So I don't really see what you're doing here outside of waiting for the edges. Now, the other side of that coin would be you break out 156, 157 up top here, and hey, now we got something going for Palantir, or maybe you break some of those lows. Until that happens, wait for it to get to the edges, which is perfectly fine. It just means there's no trade right now.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously like that 150 as well here, but if you're looking at a little bit of a longer time frame right now, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like I didn't even really have this on my radar today. I do understand what Sharif and Brennan are talking about. I think this is, a piece of the portfolio where you can have it in, where it is a tech play. It is also a play against, what's happening in Middle East here. And then we're not even done. Once Middle East is over with, I mean, I think President Trump has eyes on other prizes as well, apparently. So, there is going to be something else happening here with Palantir. 150 to 150.50 down there, a nice little buy zone. So, with such a strong beta to the market, I mean, I said this on Friday or Thursday, and that was Palantir was down, I think, 1% or something, and the market was flat or whatever it was. And I said, like, if this market, goes, Palantir's going to be up like 3 or 4%, and we know about how dramatic this stock moves. So I think you just got to wait to see what the market does and sort of hit it the other way with PLTR, or go with the market. So I'm talking about the other way was oil. But if the market runs here, we definitely want to be long Palantir. So that 154.50 area right there, I think it's something to look at. More like this 153.50. Right off the open, we have 10 minutes until we see these NASDAQ imbalances. If Palantir's on there, I wouldn't be surprised if we do have a little bit of a run up, then let it fade back and then play off VWAP of 152 long. This is a name that we're going to want to be long, but it is underproducing the NASDAQ right now. Let me just see what some of the stalwarts are doing. Like Apple, so the NASDAQ's up 2%. Okay, so Apple's also up 2%, so that's good. Google, I just want to see if there's anything that's really lagging, and we don't have too much big tech coming up. So Google only up 1.2% as well. Amazon could be an interesting story today. That's at 209 already, so that's good. I think Amazon could get going, up 1.94%. So Amazon strong, Apple strong. And then what about Softy here, just to see what the broader tech names are doing, down 1%. Okay, so right now NASDAQ up 2%, not being led by Microsoft today, more being led by Apple, which is up 2% as well. So we'll have to wait to see if NVIDIA, Palantir, and all these names can catch a bid. But here's a story, SMCI. Let's go find out what this stock wants to do today. Marvell is going up, I know that much.
That's why ACI
tried to bounce with the overall market unsuccessfully, to say the least. We're rolling over again here for SMCI. More details this morning on what happened going back to end the week on Friday, if you missed it. They're doing bad stuff with NVIDIA chips, trying to make some money in China.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all about that, Brendo. Co-founder and board member Ye Xian Liao was arrested by the Department of Justice for allegedly smuggling AI servers to China. Authorities claim the group rerouted U.S.-made servers through Taiwan and Southeast Asia, ultimately disguising shipments to bypass export restrictions. The operation allegedly involved removing serial numbers and relabeling hardware, kind of highlighting the sophistication of the scheme. Liao resigned from the board immediately, with the company stating it was not due to internal disagreement. All right. Supermicro clarified it is not named as a defendant in the DOJ complaint, and they've been cooperating with investigators to the best of their ability. Some of the key risks, obviously, going forward: potential for further regulatory scrutiny or broader investigation into the supply chain practices of SMCI. And quite frankly, Brendo, reputational damage here could impact customer trust and future contracts. This is the company that works directly with NVIDIA.
Yeah, 20 bucks is that level if you zoom way out on a long-term time frame. Trying desperately to hold on to that right now, guys.
Yeah, I'd say so. Short the pops, I think, is going to be the course of action. If you looked at the, I don't know if we're going to be strong enough for this to matter, but like the opening range low on SMCI was like 2180 or so on Friday, and then have a look at when it broke. I mean, VWAP obviously was a bit of a thing, and the market dropped in the afternoon as well. But if it gets to 2180, that would be an area, that to 22. But I'm just looking at 21. 21, we already saw it in the pre-market very early after 7 o'clock. You put in a bounce into 21 even, so that's where you happen to find resistance when we got that truth from the president. And that's kind of good enough for me. If this is one of the few stocks out there where, regardless of how euphoric or whatever the market reaction ends up being today to this, the geopolitical headlines, it's downward trending. It's got a weight on it, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just, there's not many things that independently set up for a continuation short, until at which point it starts holding some lows. Like think of it like an earnings or like a short seller report kind of deal. Until it shows you that it can hold the bottom, then it's a short till it's not. And the first level will be 21, and then this 2180 level for me on SMCI, which we had free locates on.
Yeah, that's good. I like that 21 level as well for SMCI. I just want to show everybody, I kind of went out talking about Marvell a little bit there, up 2.5%. So Marvell nicely cooking here. It did get as low as 86, of course. Then that news hit, and you get up to 90.50. It looks like it's trying to take out the highs there. This is, again, a name that I own and really like this stock and think it's basing out here to break higher. I mean, this is going to be one of those, AI revolution stocks that you're going to miss probably, but I don't know. It's been definitely one to watch out for lows, right? I mean, if Marvell ever gets back into these 70s, I mean, hopefully you guys bought it when it was down there. We were talking about Marvell a lot over the last little while. I like the stock, and I think this one can really shoot up higher here today. That is for sure. This is what some of those opening imbalances look like so far here. AMC, Stellantis, not much else going on. There's GLD with a small little sell. Yeah. They're trying to get back upside as well, still down 1.6%. Pfizer up as well.
Only because you said it.
Yeah,
you weren't here in the afternoon on a Friday. AMC broke $1.
Oh, I see that right now.
At the end of the day on Friday, it went to 98 cents.
We'll see.
I'm just throwing it out there because we've been talking about that one for a while. If it does do the $1 hold today, that could set it up for, I don't know, for maybe a muted bounce. But yeah, it became a penny stock.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. It's been so diluted though, AMC. Like I don't even think $1 will matter to that. I don't think the dollar bounced there. But yeah, interesting to look at. We'll see if there's a big level there, a big wall over near $1 on AMC. So that's too bad. Sorry about that, guys. That was a bad run for everybody that's looking at AMC.
GameStop's better.
Yeah, GameStop's been okay. All right, a couple more stories there. Tesla and then metals.
Ooh, even metals.
Speaking of airports, did you hear I saw on the weekend Elon, or maybe it was Friday even, Elon was offering to pay TSA agents during this still ongoing temporary shutdown. I was just reading that, you're muted by the way. I was just reading that they just missed their second paycheck. Yeah. The second pay period for TSA agents, but it's crazy. Anyways, not going to affect Tesla's stock at all today, but trying to get back to the upside, as we mentioned, if you join us in the first 30 minutes of the show, some chip-related headlines today.
Yeah, Elon, he unveiled plans for the Terafab, whatever you want to call it. Of course, a semiconductor manufacturing initiative tied to Tesla as well as XAI and SpaceX. So all three companies, the goal here is to build an AI-focused chip at massive scale. It marks a shift towards vertical integration beyond just, cars. So into compute, into chips, into AI hardware, very much, part and parcel of Tesla's moat. They like to be vertically integrated. The initial phase is expected to cost tens of billions of dollars, with Tesla planning around $20 billion in equipment spending for all of 2026. That is up, though, from the $9 billion they spent in 25. The chips will require terawatt-level electricity, which highlights, of course, the extreme scale of AI compute that Tesla's targeting. And Musk suggested production levels could rival millions of NVIDIA's Blackwell-class chips annually. Targeted production for 27 with volume ramp up, Brendo, in 28.
Looking like it might want to break out, take out this pre-market high anyways, guys, right now on Tesla.
Yeah, it really might do it. And look, if it does, I was saying before, I'm not going to be celebrating until it gets to about 380, because I think that's the key price. It's what matters. It's not even at the 200 period at that particular point. Like the thing is, look, when you have a level like this 380 and the 200 period moving average, you're there that long. It's similar to NVIDIA, where you just have support for so long. When it finally breaks, to me, it's one of two things. If the snapback isn't pretty quick when you lose a level like that, then I would expect the unwind to be a little bit longer and maybe deeper than those might think. So if we don't get a snapback, let's just say this week or early next week, back to the 200 period moving average, something akin to this little dip where we lost 400, where it doesn't take very long. It's a week and change, and then you get back to the highs. If we don't see something like that, I still think we're headed down closer to the 300, 320. You pull out a weekly chart, which I think I still have up here. Yeah, you pull out a weekly chart, and I think that's where you get to next, the 200 period on said weekly. For today, I think you got room to 380, which it looks more like a level. It's more of a level based on how hard we fell off it. You could make an argument there were more sellers at 380 to 84, but for today, it doesn't really top my radar. I didn't think that story was going to be big enough for us. I do like I got IBIT and Boyle and SMCI are going to make the list here today a little bit more than Tesla.
Yeah, we don't have, I was just hoping to see if there was any sort of imbalances. We do have CrowdStrike as a sell. That's like the only BBAI as a sell. There's Tesla as a buy. So Tesla does get a little bit of a buy action there. So there it is. No, that's TLSA, sorry. See, I almost fell for it. TLSA, I just clicked on it and was like, wait a second, $1.30. Yeah, so we don't have Intel, I guess, with a little bit of a sell there as well. But not much going on. So I'll go back to Tesla. I thought that was Tesla.
That's all by Tazenia Life Sciences.
Yeah, Tazenia Life Sciences there. I was actually thinking about this break, if the market gets going there. Tesla obviously did have a low of 360 today with a huge bump up there. We retested that 370, 350 basically right into there. Some issues at 74, so maybe that's the real break. But with only 3 minutes left, I mean, Tesla up 1%, market up 2%. You could do worse than going long right there. It's just right off the open, it's obviously a very, very, it's a coin flip if you're taking anything off the open. We've seen Tesla rip, come right back in, and then support itself. So I kind of like the way this VWAP is looking. We did come back in and sort of, level off of the 200 and off VWAP into there. So maybe we're finally seeing something. I would think this is a reasonable trade to take. The 373.50 break. If that breaks right there, it's almost 373.30, then you can almost play back to this break level, which is going to happen off the open too, 372.30. So I'm thinking, interesting days ahead here for Tesla. And it could start with a big break early on that level. Now, again, no imbalances, so we're going to go back over for the metal talk, but not seeing anything on here that will, except for TLSA, that could get us going. So, yeah, hands on for now, hands off the stock for now, but watching that 373.50 for a break long, and then almost giving it $1, right? We don't have to go too crazy on it. We can give it $1 and see where it goes with TSLA today.
Yeah, but coming back in here a little bit for the overall market right now, metals even to the upside here after just an absolute crazy week and a half for both silver and gold back to the downside. I mean, you were saying going back to Friday was the worst week going back months.
Absolutely.
$62 here for SLV was the support level at the end of the day on Friday trying to hold right now.
10% decline for gold last week. That's the worst since 2011, so you're absolutely right there. Gold, at the time of the writing of this article, it's changed a little bit since the President Trump truth, but gold has now fallen about 25% from its late January record high. Silver, even worse, hit harder, down about 50%. Again, at the time of the writing of this article, since February. The speed, though, and the decline of the suggests here forced liquidation and position unwind, not just a gradual rotation. Despite the geopolitical tensions, gold is falling, which is highlighting a shift where interest rate expectations are really dominating here. And the rising risk of inflation from energy prices is pushing expectations for higher rates, which hurts, these non-yielding assets like gold. Investors, Brando, are rotating towards yield-bearing assets like bonds, even as yields themselves rise. So gold typically does well during these geopolitical unstable times, but there's a bit of a rotation here.
Yeah, a little bit of a move back down, a little bit of a move back higher on the dollar currently. We saw those going opposite directions early on this morning, guys. Thoughts here?
Yeah, and the thing is, I know it was what Shreve's saying. It's just as perplexing when you look at some of these prior relationships, when you look at where yields are going to see what gold is doing. You just got to watch out for the USD. That's just how it's going to be. And silver retraced, SLV retraced exactly 50% from the highs. So realistically, I think that 55, if you saw it again, would be highly unlikely. You might look for some kind of a trend break there, but I think you're just following oil. It'll be easier to follow the energy markets, I think, today. We're ringing the bell right now. It's Monday morning, and the market is open. For some reason, I thought we had a little bit longer. Just very quickly, I'm going to go over to I'm going to start almost immediately because oil is actually almost back at the volume-weighted average price. So it is trending up. I wanted to look for some kind of a trend break. It is trending back up off the lows. We get to VWAP or get to resistance here at 17.3. I'm going to look for a trend reversal. SMCI, immediately. SMCI doesn't seem to want to get to 21. Last I checked, you can't actually get to 21 if the first thing you do is sell through 20.
No. We tried to buy that break on Tesla there. We only crossed up to 50s. So we tried to get the 30 break. We only crossed up to 50s. It would now be $3 in the money, but there it goes, man. Tesla, we miss that break. That sucks. The order went out, 370, 350. But don't have it as it goes higher right there. So, yeah, NVIDIA too, man. I mean, even though the NASDAQ's trying to go a little lower right now, we do see some of these stocks start to take off just a little bit to the upside one more time here. But NVIDIA dipped down right into VWAP there, so that could be a look as well. As we said, we would try to be a little patient with all this. I'm still going to take Tesla if it comes back to that breaking spot, and then we'll see what that wants to do. But, yeah, NVIDIA does go right into VWAP there of 176, so that, could have been looked at there for a trade down near the downside there for NVIDIA and VWAP. We can have a quick look to see what oil is doing as the market opens up. I mean, we don't expect just because U.S. 9:30 hits, that oil is going to all of a sudden start to move. I mean, this has already been moving all morning long. Damn it, man, that really sucks there about Tesla, just not aggressive enough. I wonder how much we actually miss that first bump buy. I wonder what that first reasonable bid I could have got was there. But anyways, we missed it. We tried 373.50, sorry. It's in the system right there, but we don't have it. So that's a nice move there for that one. Neil's in SMCI, and we're just going to have to wait, man. I did write down the Qs as well as a possible level, 43.50 coming back in, and that's not going to hit. That's going to be down here, 43.50. That was where the 200 period is. So maybe we have to look at 44.50 right now. But yeah, I'll just wait for Tesla to maybe come through. We don't necessarily have to hit any crazy trades yet. We'll sit on our hands. We did miss that Tesla, though.
Energy is coming back into, I shouldn't say energy. I'm looking at oil and USO. Both of them are coming right back into the volume-weighted average price, which is a level that we're going to like. SMCI, if it doesn't get to 21, you saw the breakdown. I'm just going to play, as usual, like the first area resistance when you lose VWAP. And if it trends, it trends. On Friday, it trended almost all day long. There was 5 minutes near the open where it was above the volume-weighted average price. For the rest of the day, it was underneath. I'm not saying it'll do the same, but that's the first look over there. Just going back over to something that I think could be strong today. There was a story for Intel that had to do with was Mobileye effectively getting a contract with a major U.S. car company is all it said. It was not specific whatsoever, but Intel was getting a bump on that regard, regardless of what the market was doing. So as long as this can hold VWAP, it doesn't seem to want to break above 45. That's an over-under level for me. You're above 45, I'd look trend over. Otherwise, let's see it hold on to the volume-weighted average price. You know, you can have a catalyst all you want. Today is one of those days where you're going to have to let the market make a distinction early on. And you don't want to fold into something that you just think it has a positive story, so go long. It's not going to be that simple, I don't think, today.
No, I mean, I really like the long story, but I don't think it's going to be simple. 44. Yeah, I was just looking right here at basically at VWAP, trying to figure what that is. 44.80 or so right there. I mean, I do not mind a long in this market as we finally get that first little glimmer of hope that, hey, man, maybe we're starting to get some settling nature here for the war in the Middle East. And no, I didn't see. Palantir up, yeah, 4%, okay. Yeah, Neil just saying.
Palantir is going.
I mean, I saw, the problem is I already missed Tesla, so I'm already a little bit pissed about that. But yeah, Palantir, same kind of way, man, breaking that pre-market high. Same thing Tesla did, and straight up. I mean, yeah. I love Palantir. It's one of the big stocks in my portfolio, so we'll be happy with that one for a minute. Boeing was an interesting story last week. It does break way down, man. I mean, this stock has gone really bad the last month and a half, man. Since the beginning of February there, 250 down to 194 or something like that. 192 on the lows on Friday. So Boeing just trying to get it back up to the upside right there. Look, man, the NASDAQ is doing a whole bunch of nothing right now. So interesting to sit on our hands just a
interesting.
minute.
Well, it's going down a little bit. That's why Palantir's move is jarring, right? Like Palantir,
yeah.
It actually broke that big resistance level that we're talking about, that 156 to 57. I guess it's more 57. Yeah, it was. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze in a second. It was 157 that it's breaking out. So a little bit more. If you're into Palantir, just zoom it out a bit further. 161 was the local high going back to the 6th. So a couple of Fridays ago, you're gonna have Palantir hitting that resistance spot. I'm looking for a bounce off the low here on SMCI. I just want to remind everybody the stock was down like 30-something%. Actually, it was probably even more than that by the end. So that means it's SSR. So it gets to an obvious bounce level, short sell restricted, meaning the uptick rule is in effect. So this would be the continuation day, unless it's down 10% again, and then it would all reset itself. So I'm going to get out at the lows, look for reversion, still going to fade it, play onto the volume-weighted average price whenever we can grab it. But it did do, like on Friday, initial move down, and if you didn't take that out, it was right back at VWAP 10 minutes later. So you took that first move, like on Friday it was about $1. In this case, it's about like 70 cents. And if we get the bounce, look to short the pops on SMCI all day.
Okay, we're going to start a new position right here with the TQs. So we'll hit position sirens up right now, and we're long at 45 flat, 45.01, sorry, right there. And just trying to see, honestly, just about this 200 period moving average. I mean, we're trying to build it here. I just kind of want to trust the president that there is going to be some positive talks in the next little while here regarding Iran. I don't know if that's going to be possible or not, but it seems like so far so good here on the move higher on the day. Will it fade back out? Fine. If it does, we're out of here, right at this low. So 44.50 with an average in. We'll wait for 80s. We'll kind of wait for that 200 period moving average to come in. And then if that does happen, we have support with our 200 on the 5-minute as well down there at 44.50. So I think there might be something to go. We'll wait to see if VWAP wants to hold right now on the TQs. And it's an early position for me. So we're in it right there. We were in USO, you guys know, earlier. That got stopped out right there. Took a little bit of a trade short. Got stopped out right there once it broke through 112.20. And that was that. We actually wind up getting a little overfilled, so we had to punch out immediately. I wish we would have held on to that long. That got up to VWAP as well. So far, so good. I mean, right now, it's just a 12-cent. We could take, here, let's take out a piece now as we just rip up to the high side. So there it goes, man. The money being made on the futures this side. Again, as we go back to the futures, we take USO, which is crude oil early. We take Qs, which is the market late. We're now long right now on the TQQs. So let's go have a look and see if this one wants to continue to mature up. That, of course, is the TQs. So there it goes, man. You're in SMCI, TQs, and oil, I think, is the only 3 trades so far.
And we just actually hit VWAP on both USO and, two things first. One, Bitcoin breaking out through the prior day high. It held 70,000. That's pretty obvious. And we're going to be at 70.5 or so. But we just had a topping tail candle through the volume weighted average price. on Boyle. This is going to be a leveraged,
Palantir.
leveraged, obviously, symbol. So it's more of a trading vehicle than anything else. But I'm just going to grab the short. We said we'd fade it if it got into the volume weighted average price. The prior bar is going to be the out. So we'll give it to just above 17 on this bad boy. And that's sort of the thing. Like, you let this make that move up. It hasn't broken the trend line. It was going to be a trend line break or get to the volume weighted average price was going to be the go zone for me. In this case, it'll be the VWAP trade, but I don't mind doing this two ways. You break that trend down and then add here in Boyle. I almost said SMCI. SMCI is still trying to bounce. I use the word trying. It's not doing a very good job of it, but it did initially bounce off that opening candle low. So I'm not getting back into it at the low of the day. I would look for a short the pop situation and throw up the super chat. Lunch 911 just said they did catch the Tesla. So there you go.
Nice.
And it's one of the strong. That's the crazy thing is it's one of the stronger ones out there. It's not like the Qs are breaking through the highs. So you had Tesla and Palantir are the ones that I saw that broke through the highs of the day. So I'm not sure there's probably a few other things that broke out on some strength, but certainly some relative strength here in Tesla and PLTR. And you know what? They were both names which were on the watch list this morning. So it goes to show.
Yeah, Tesla goes to show too. Just tune in, man. Tesla was the #1 stock that I put the very first trade out on, and I don't know. I wonder what price you got because I had just missed that 393.50, 373.50 right there. That's too bad because look at that, man. So you got horse sense over there. Shout out to you in the chat, man. That is for sure. But you just got to go over here and just kind of say like, if you see plays like that, those are plays you kind of got to look to make. I mean, we did one right here too. The money's coming in now on the TQs on this trade. I was hoping for a little bit lower on that position, but we don't have it. But yeah, it's Tesla, an absolute beast there. And again, wish we would have had that. Palantir just ho-humming it around 159 right now, up 5.5% as that name continues to click a little bit there. I'm not really seeing too much hitting on any of the scanners. Roblox is hitting right now potentially. Which way though? I haven't even looked at it. Yeah, okay, downside. Yeah, broke down through VWAP going lower there, 56 and change. Oh man, that's really too bad because we did nail that. Tesla just never got filled. But yeah, thanks again for that super chat. I wonder if it said what price. Let me go check that out because I'm a little bit mad that I missed that there.
There was a
caught Tesla. Yeah, lunch 9-1. Let me know what price you got and how you traded that there in the chat because I'd be interested because I did miss that Tesla. I mean, my order went out immediately and as soon as it broke, but I only crossed up 30 cents into 50s. So maybe 25 cents into 50s. So yeah, it's Palantir and Tesla story right there. Palantir, companies adapting, the US government's going to be adapting more of their technology and software. So Palantir, nice upside into 159. It looks like the Qs went for a little bit of a jaunt up there into the 50 period, which is nice. Now we'll wait to see as it comes back in right now into 45 bucks again here for the TQQs. I'm going to get long. 44.80 is my next bid. So we'll see what happens if we do get a fill there.
Yeah, and look, it really does only look like a couple of things that are strong. I just zoomed through some of the rest of the Mag 7. And I didn't really see a ton of strength out there. So let's see what happens. But we did get. So I was able to get that topping tail candle on Boyle, but when it broke the trend, I didn't get the fill. That's the difference between taking the short into that candle and sort of trying to hit the bid as it comes back down. So did not get filled on the trend break. We'll play it for the low of the day here, but I still think as long as it's a trend break here under VWAP, then we want to continue the short. So I will short the next pop, just going to leave the order in just around that 16.8 level where we tried to add to the position. Ooh, I just saw Meta from Profit. Get going, Meta. It's at $600, Meta. Ooh, that doesn't look that great. Market is well above and looking pretty strong. This is underneath VWAP. I don't like that, Meta. Actually don't like that at all, META. But I do like some Bitcoin. So hopefully we get some kind of a dip to at least retest this consolidation level. I don't want to chase the move up here on IBIT. But the way I see it, if this trend continues and the market's going to be strong, Bitcoin should be up, and that means Boyle should be down as well. So energy names headed back to the downside. That looks good to go so far.
All right. Yeah, coffee, man. Where's Randy at right here? Yeah, big move up there. Trump saying Iran needs better communication team right there, saying that they did have talks and they should be talking about it. So, you know, he's doubling down on the fact that they potentially did have those positive talks. We just got a piece out at 49 there, 45.49 right there. So, yeah, man, he's talking in our ear here and just mentioning that just let me know there, Andre, when it's good to go over here. All right, Adara, welcome back. She's ready with another story.
Very happy to be back here with you guys. President Trump just making some comments here about conversations he reportedly had with Iran, saying the discussions on Sunday, or they happened on Sunday here into the evening. They said Iran would like to make a deal, and the U.S. would also like to make a deal, that Iran needs, quote, better public relations people. Basically, questioning their denial of these talks and saying he does hope to meet with Iran soon. So, yeah, President Trump is saying they have major points of agreement. The discussion took place, as I said, yesterday. And they're apparently going to be talking, quote, today, probably by phone, and he hopes to settle this. If I get more details, I'll let you know. No economic data at 9:45, but at 10 a.m. we do have some construction spending data that'll be coming through at 10. Back to you.
Yes, sir. And look, I don't care who you are or where you are. Like, talks are good. Any conflict would be good. So let's just hope it's all true and the market goes up and energy prices come down, so we can all be pretty happy about that. But the other side to that coin is, if you're watching some of these, and we didn't really talk about the oil small cap runners. I don't know what you call this group, but what's weird to me is they're not falling apart. Like, I'm looking at Battle, and it's down 14%, but I would have expected more than this. If I see USO and Boyle like break the lows and this isn't going anywhere, I think it's worth paying for locates, because those small cappers, like, they were at the beginning of all of this. This was a $1, like $1.50 maybe, some nonsense like that, and it's gone like a bajillion% to the upside. There's a lot of room for it to fall. So I think this is worth it. If we do you continue to get good news and we keep breaking down in energy, these would seemingly have a heck of a lot to fall. Indo would be another example. TPET or TPT is another example of those. But just noticeably that Battle doesn't seem to want to break any of those lows. So I'm going to have this in the back pocket, because if we do see oil futures break the lows and this doesn't break down under 10, might be able to have a nice catch-up trade.
I'm still bitter about that Tesla trade. Let's go have a look to see what everybody else is trading here today. Of course, everybody's trading Tesla. I'm going to slap a fail on that because we just missed it. That's too bad. Okay, UGRO we can have a look at as well. Remember, we do have Adara there in the news, so anything that hits, she'll be back there. So I'm just going to go over this quickly. Microsoft flat on the day, 0.7. A little disappointing, obviously. I think we'd like to see that a little bit higher. SoFi up 2%, which is nice, man. We definitely like the SoFi news, or not news, but the nice SoFi bump there. There's Tesla. Trump saying they don't, ICE agents don't need to wear masks in airports or something. 177 there. NVIDIA, 2.3% on NVIDIA. UGRO right there. We have a quick little look at that one and see what's going on. That one seems to be the one name that a lot of you guys are looking at. Oh, by the way, okay, we got once again. So let's get out some there at 34 if we can. We just reloaded the TQs at 14s right there. So nice little dip down opportunity to buy the futures. We'll get another piece out right there as this one starts to really head our way for now. Anyways, UGRO. I have no idea, obviously, where this is going. Urban Grow. Grow your urban gardens. Let's see, UGRO. What's going on right now with this one? Yeah, probably a cannabis or something. $2 base there for UGO. Definitely basing out over the last couple of days, that's for sure. You go all the way back into mid-February where UGO was made this similar move. We had topped out at 450 last time. If you're in this name, man, it's only up 90%, so that's pretty decent, but right into there, 440 and change. We've been up here before. Thank you, Randy, for that on UGO. But yeah, so far so good here on the TQs. Let's go over to Adara, and I'm going to go grab this coffee. Thanks, Randy.
I have more comments from President Trump. He's saying right now that $200 billion in military funding would be, quote, nice to have. So nothing massive. You might want to keep an eye, though, on some of these names in the military space, or at least like contract-related plays here. PLTR could be on watch. Another defense-related play, RTX, not really moving at all on this. The aforementioned Boeing. So there are a couple different plays to look at here. As President Trump says, $200 billion in military funding would be, quote, nice to have. Back to you.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to have. Get up, Boeing. You're supposed to be above 200.
Let's go, boy.
Right? It's not enough to get the 200 level. You've got to hold the 200 level. That actually topped out today, of course, at $200 and heading back into the downside. But any dip, this might be the chance to get the dip in Bitcoin. We're at 71K now on BTC. So bouncing off 70,000 after the the euphoria that we had was always going to be a little bit less likely. But if we can get that dip, it's still early, maybe into some of those prior highs. I like our chances to maybe take out some of the tops. You get to 73, 74, and that's where I'd start to run out of steam. But I can be patient. I'm not really looking at VWAP right now because of all that dark pool nonsense. It's starting to catch up. That'll look better after 10 o'clock. For now, we're going to look at this $40 level here, particularly on IBIT. Let us know what else you guys are watching. I see people putting the BBAI in there. There was a move here. I shouldn't say was, or is a bit of a move off that 420 level in Micron. That's looking pretty good. So 420 is where we closed effectively on Friday, and that could be breaking back out. Micron, let's be real. It's been the chip name to move just a little bit more than your friend NVIDIA on most days. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just only because Trump right now is basically saying he thinks that there is some sort of a deal. So I don't.
He said that he can't guarantee a deal. That's the most recent comment we have from him. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. So, but here we go, man. Up to 45.55 here. Monster move right now not monster move, but a nice move in the NASDAQ. That's been holding. The monster move already happened. That was 7 o'clock when we were downside and then popped like crazy. But we'll take advantage of that, man. And we'll go face slapper right there. I still wish we were obviously short oil, but we got stopped out of. So I've only had 2 trades today. Short USO, which worked. We're net positive on it, but we did get stopped out, and it does respect VWAP. So we really like that trade. Shout out to Brian and everybody over there at Alpha Trends. Hope you guys are all doing well. But your boy hit this one, man. This is your face slapper. That's off VWAP twice right now. So here we go, man. This is going to be hopefully a big trade. My next offer right here, 45.70, as we start to clear out now. So 45.70, we got to let this one kind of get back up to the upside. So I'm going to put an offer there, 45.70, and see if we can get out. We still have more than half left of this trade. Oh no, the stock that I wanted to show everybody was, and again, I know Palantir is going one way, but this is a name that I don't think like drone warfare is over yet. AVAV, I guess I thought it was getting hit today, but it's actually up today. It must have got hit on Friday right there, just straight down. And because I remember I missed this one. Yeah, I remember I missed this one at its earnings low, but it looks like we got much lower than that, or at least where it was, 194. So I was actually going to think about picking some of this up because there was, what this name's been doing. There's earnings, and I sort of thought that we had missed that down there near 200. We dipped down there on that day right here and then battled back, and then it came right back in. Actually, I think this is the earnings day. Came right back in, then battled back for basically 5 straight days, 230, and now right back into those lows. So not looking great, but definitely something.
Triple bottom, potential trend break.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll watch this name, but I think AVAV, something to look at here to diversify a little bit if you want to get into some of those, unfortunate like wartime kind of stocks there. I mean, I think we already have the best one in Palantir, but AVAV, definitely something to look at there. So we did cash out there, a little bit at 55. I did just put another offer. I'm going to put another one right here at 40. There we go. 45s. We actually get that. And now we'll go back over to Adara and see if, there we go. We get 50s again. So, okay. Thought maybe the market was turning around. What's up, Adara?
Here mostly about Iran, but another thing to keep an eye on here is going to be comments from U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright. That's right, Chris Wright also discussing oil and energy here, saying that energy talks need to be depoliticized. Nothing massive from him yet, but just be aware he and President Trump are speaking simultaneously here about oil. Now, again, economic data also going to be on watch here at 10 a.m. That construction spending print, we are expecting a slight decrease compared to the print that we had last month. Now, President Trump also talking here about Iran, saying that, quote, we don't talk strategy. Looks like he is still speaking to Air Force right outside of a plane. If I get more details here, I'll let you know.
Thank you, Adara, for keeping us abreast of all the news. And all it's really doing is continuing the trends we're seeing, which is market up, Bitcoin up, most things up, and energy down. So if you're watching USO, the only thing that's different here for me is Boyle was breaking the lows when you were holding the lows on USO. Now all of a sudden USO's at the bottom without Boyle getting there. So I'm going to respect that, and it's about 110 where you bounce 3 times in the morning on that initial 7 o'clock bottom. And if we hold the line here and bounce, I'd want to jump out. So I want to see what happens at that low on USO here. As you know, it had been leading at least initially, and if that continues when it bounces, I want to be able to trail out of this bad boy. Bitcoin's still going like absolute ham. And oh, that's right. If we're bouncing in Bitcoin, then Circle looks pretty good. So shout out to everyone that was bringing that name up. Although, you know what? It's not that strong. Kind of curious as to why you don't see a little bit more strength in Circle. It's already pulling back when Bitcoin gets to those highs. I would have expected it to be breaking higher. Disappointing. Maybe just look straight at BTC. Like BTC's chart shouldn't be better than Circle's. I wouldn't have expected. That's weird.
Yeah, no, BTC 71,000. That's good, man. Our recent dip buy there, and you guys all know about it, we've been talking about it, 66,000 on BTC. So we're pretty happy with the move today, obviously, up to 71 and change. Not cashing out of anything, just averaging down into our BTC position there. All right, man. I mean, the NASDAQ just made new highs, so we'll fire off the hot dog can and take a glizzy to the face right there. Nice move higher on the NASDAQ as we continue to go. Let's have a quick look at some of the sectors here before we go over to our sector watch. Today's going to be a good one, man. Markets are doing what they do, and that is higher when you get good news, and apparently that's what we do have today. So, I mean, what's going on here? No red, except for where everybody could easily have picked today. XOM, downsides, Chevron, they're all down, as most of the energy names are going downside, which is good to my ears right there. Good news for my ears. Financials upside, we could take a quick look at that. Amazon, we said that was going to be a mover, man. I'm really disappointed in not getting that Tesla long. That's been a great move. Congratulations to those who have there today. Look at the financials, man, all well over here. We said Robinhood finally gets down. I don't even know where it is on here, but Robinhood finally gets down, breaks that 80 and comes right back. That's going to be a good level. Like to see them holding that as well. JP Morgan 2% is nice. Morgan Stanley 3, Goldman 3. Wow, good for you, Goldman. I'm glad to see that back. Some of the credit cards as well starting to hit just a little bit there. Amazon, I mean, that's going to be a good bounce. Walmart's been heading to the downside. Wow, Walmart's at 120, man. We've sort of talked about Amazon there. Home Depot, also not bad. Neil said lows up 5%. Yes, that's true. Target hitting some targets as well, up 2%. So that's a good one. There's Carvana on a split announcement. That's going to take place next month, I believe, for Carvana. So right there, that's $300. Costco down today. It's Amazon today. Not many retail names bumping around. Williams-Sonoma nicely up 4%. So it's Lowe's and Home Depot and Amazon getting the kick there.
10 for 1 on?
Was
that the week I was?
No, I don't think it's not 10 for 1. I think it's 5 to 1. Yeah, I think it's going to like 50 or 60 bucks there on Carvana.
Smart for them because it gives a better squeeze opportunity. Cheaper for everyone to play options.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to everybody there following us on TikTok as well. We want to say a big howdy do to you guys over there on TikTok. What's up, Adara?
More comments here coming from U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright and U.S. President Donald Trump here in Iran. President Trump saying that he believed the threat from Iran was imminent, and also saying that he wants as much as much oil in the system as possible. Now, Chris Wright, again, U.S. Energy Secretary, is saying that markets do what markets do with regards to the oil market response to Iran, and saying that prices have not yet risen enough to drive demand destruction. So Energy Secretary Chris Wright downplaying some of these concerns with oil. HG also in watch this week. I mean, probably minor, but they're hosting some Pro Extra Week conference all week, as you might have guessed by the name. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. And I said if USO bounced off 110, well, USO broke this downtrend, bounced off the 110 level, so I jumped out of Boyle. Let's throw up the super chat. We're going to wait for VWAP to get back in again. Let's throw up the super chat. Well, I'm not entirely sure where we're supposed to go with this. Thank you, Mac, for the super chat, but if you could just be a little bit more clear what you're interested in. because I'm not entirely familiar with Randy's favorite stock. What is going on with Rivian? Well, the market's bouncing, so
Yeah, same old.
it could just easily be that, but 7% is pretty solid for Rivian. They got dumped on Friday. It was Thursday morning, Thursday morning where they had the Uber news. Wow, this looks like something's going on for Rivian. The market's doing some up things, but not more than this. Do we have a story here, Adara? Okay, so Adara's going to keep her ear to the ground. It could just be, hey, we got to 15 again, and guess what Rivian does at 15? It seems to just bounce off the $15 level. Look at the 200-period moving average, and look at this 15 level. But until you look at the 50-period here. No chance. It's had no chance closing above. Maybe it can buck that trend, and then technically this would look
Not seeing anything
a little
here.
better. So maybe just a technical bounce off that 200-period on the daily. Maybe.
Yeah. No, nothing. I mean, it's just a beat up stock with a much better market. I mean, we talked about what Palantir and all these kind of stocks, and look at Tesla today. I mean, it's just some of these beat up names that we know can get going. Rivian's not the same kind of sort of cult following as Tesla, but they're starting to get there. So once that market starts to move, man, you're going to see Rivian come right back down if this market turns on its head a little bit. But Tesla, the king today, I think, like, what a good break there. We talked about that. Still working. A Tesla, USO, we can take a quick look at that. Still at 111 for USO, not really doing too much there. We'll see. We just got to bounce off the 50 period again on the futures, so really liking this one to get a little higher here. Like I said, I'm going to be waiting basically for the high of the day here, 45.90. Hopefully that will come in. Nothing's really hitting the scanners. I mean, everything's kind of just as is there. Palantir, we have numbers in 30 seconds. Palantir looks like it's going to take out the top as well right here. All right, Adara, you got some numbers. Let's go.
Just be aware here, President Trump just mentioned Elon Musk, but only in relation to his offers to pay TSA workers with regards to, of course, the DHS funding situation in the U.S., so nothing Tesla related, but there was some Elon Musk love from President Trump. In 5 seconds, we're getting U.S. construction spending month over month. Forecast 0.1%, previous 0.3%. This could be for the month of January. And we should be getting that print here negative 0.3%. So it's going to be below the forecast of 0.1%. And of course, also below the prior print of positive 0.3%. Again, negative 0.3%. for January for construction spending month over month. No other economic data today or Fed speak for that matter, but at 1 p.m. Eastern, President Trump to appear at a round table event. It's going to be for the Memphis Safe Task Force, so not inherently market related, but we know he can comment about anything at any time, so always do be aware. Right now, NASDAQ certainly below these pre-market highs, but consolidating near intraday highs as of right now, as the market continues to weigh reactions from this post from U.S. President Trump just after 7 a.m. today. Now, this is USO kind of near session lows here, but President Trump more or less saying that U.S. has been speaking to Iran over the past 2 days. These conversations have been productive, and as a result, he's basically told the Department of Defense do not strike any Iranian power plants over the next 5 days. Now, this follows basically a 48-hour warning he issued on Saturday evening that would have expired today around 7:45, saying that, hey, Iran, if you don't reopen the Strait of Hormuz, we are going to be hitting your power plants. So again, calling off that threat on power plants, though Iran has actually denied that these conversations took place. Some other plays in watch here include SMCI. Now we know Supermicro. Last week, some charges here, federal charges from the court of New York against certain executives, including the company's co-founder. On Friday afternoon, the company announced that said co-founder Wally Sheo has been stepping down here from their board. PLTR also on watch this morning with a much more positive catalyst. We know that reportedly, according to a memo reported on by Reuters, their Maven AI system is going to be having deep integration with the U.S. Pentagon. Lots of news on watch. That's why I'm here for you guys every single day. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, join us on all of our platforms. We're going to send you back over to the guys.
All right, thank you, Derek. We do have a new position on with USO right now. We just went short some USO right there against $11. Just took a piece out there at 65. So far, so good. And, you know, this is the thing. Markets have been extremely active lately, to say the least. For traders, that kind of environment creates You guessed it, opportunity. Big moves, more setups, more momentum. To take advantage of these opportunities, you need two things, discipline and access to capital. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what we call limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, please visit tradethepool.com and scan that QR code right now to grab your 10% off. And oh boy, there it is, man. The face slapper is back in the building right now as there goes oil. Ciao, right there. We've got $1 on this one, Neil. There it goes, man. It's a good one. The dollar club is now in and cooking to the downside, man. Long market, short oil right there today, exactly what we had written down on our sheet. So far, so good. We just put this trade on just before we did that read. So there it goes, man. Shorting on oil right there, now down $1 into 110 and hopefully getting lower than this. Let's take a little bit more out on the market here just in case they don't move together. I'm not sure why it's not going higher there, but oil lower, Trump sending oil lower, markets higher so far here today. And yeah, man, we've got it over here with that oil short. Let's just see what's going on now. I know you're looking at nat gas, but there it is. How are you playing today's rally? I am just, I'm doing all of these. So I'm going to say, I'm both. I mean, shorting dips and buying rips. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're trading right there. But I do think you got to wait for, big moves to happen. And we've caught two of them right there and missed the biggest one of the day, possibly in Tesla. So 2 for 2 today with USO and the futures, and both relatively big.
Yeah, I think we'll go to Darren in a second. Look, I'm sort of the same way, but there is one other. We just bounced again off that 110. The only other play that we're going to do here, if we don't get some kind of a dip in IBIT, was that battle breakdown. Because if USO breaks 110, it makes no sense for me for this stock not to retrace back in. Good news here, just has these small cap oil and energy names in the crosshairs. And I had this trend line drawn as well, all the way from 8 a.m. at those highs when we bounced, and we're going to look for a fade. Put the stop right underneath this 11 level where the trend line is, and then move it with the trend. Let's go to Adara, I believe, at the desk. We still have more from the president coming, so it could be that.
We're not going to have any more from President Trump for a while now, Neil. He actually just stepped onto the plane, but I do want to give you guys some of the comments that he made right before he stepped onto the plane, because some of these are pretty interesting, saying that with Iran, the goal is, quote, a very serious form of regime change. He said there are 15 points of agreement between the countries to make some kind of deal. He said that oil's price will, quote, drop like a rock as soon as there is some kind of deal, and that, quote, maybe we'll find a leader like we did in Venezuela with regards to how they're going to handle the regime situation here in Iran. Finally, and I think maybe the most important point, President Trump saying that, quote, the Strait of Hormuz will open very soon if this works. Back to you.
Which is exactly what the markets want to hear. That's all anybody wants to hear. You talk to me when the Strait of Hormuz is open back up, and look, no one actually probably cares more about that than China and Japan and the rest of Asia. But let's be real, it hasn't happened yet, so I don't know if we're completely off the hook. It's Battalion Oil or whatever the heck this stock. Yeah, Battalion Oil Corporation did break that low. So the same old story. We don't get the trend trade, but we'll get the breakdown of that support, prior bar exit, and look for a press into some of those lows at about 10.20. IBIT's coming back for the first time. So this is the first real pullback. It just made another fresh high. If it does break this trend line, I'm not thinking reverse short. I'll let that trend line break. Take it into the low would be the way that I'd prefer to play it. Play out long off the 40 level, or we can just hold the trend line here, get a nice little bounce, and then we'll start playing the trend line for a bit of a scalp trade over on IBIT. But I want to be patient. If it breaks that, there's no need to jump in right away and then maybe like DCAing. If it breaks the trend, you got to wait for 40. A little bit closer to that 70,000 level will make a little bit more sense. And I just saw in the chat of Grunfeld saying, notice how NVIDIA isn't going. I'll be honest with you, I actually didn't notice that because I haven't been paying attention to NVIDIA today. No catalyst, it's been a bit range bound. I don't want to call it a boring stock because it's up 2.5%, but you're right. It's just holding on to VWAP. But if NVIDIA does get going, it's much better, A, for the market, and B, remember the 180 level. 180 was pretty big. last week. A couple, not just Friday, but Thursday as well. It couldn't really break through that 180. Just a little bit weaker sometimes on these up days, I find NVIDIA has been. Just go figure. Maybe people have got complacent when it comes to that stock.
Maybe I'm too bullish about the Middle East here. So we are still short on USO. We've just been covering it for that dollar. I mean, it's breaking off 110. We've had a bunch of covers here and then a bunch again at 30s and 40s. So now we can just see if we can hold the rest. We still have 40% of this. Maybe we make a move down right now. So that should control our downside now with only, with getting out of the majority of this trade. So that'll be a good one. I'm still waiting for 112 to break. That would be your 50 period moving average there on this 1 minute chart for USO, just to see if that wants to help out as well as support for this short. All right, and then just on the futures, man, I mean, okay, we'll take a little bit of a move higher here, offer some 51s. There it is, we get that. As we did panic a little bit, as I thought we were maybe starting to head back to the downside, as I'd heard that President Trump was maybe done speaking now, that there could not be potentially any more, outlandish statements coming from him. It doesn't mean that there's going to be others speaking, yes.
For what it's worth, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright just concluded his comments as well.
Yeah, okay. So that's part of what I mean. Like, you never know who's going to be wearing what hat here. Yeah, so far, so good. As we just start to exit out of everything, we've got our daily goal there, so it's been a good day. It's only 10:08. We did have a much bigger trade earlier on the day, but then we bounced right back up there on USO. That was our first trade, short 11.75. Then we just shorted right here again at 111. I'm still going to try to remain short underneath this 50 period. I mean, we could almost wait for VWAP as well here on USO if we really get rallying back to the north side. But this is the whole point about getting out of some of the trade when you start to see some support. I mean, we've already been down here on this news today, so let's cover when it does happen. And hey, if we get like some confirmation from Iran or whatever, then we have enough left to hold on if it does go back to the other way. I mean, some bigger oil names. We talked about XOM was down today. I mean, what a move XOM and Chevron have had over the last little while. I mean, 155 right up to 160 there for Exxon Mobil. So, looking to be pretty strong and hold out some of those highs there for XOM. Let me check out my guy Marvell, see what they're doing today. Yeah, so up another 3%. We like that stock here today, Marvell cooking. What about Google? I'm looking for some opportunities here. We can look at that ONDS. That was a stock that a lot of you guys were looking at. Ondis Holdings up to $10.
Made an acquisition or something today, I think.
Okay, yeah, so 1.3 million, 1.3%, sorry, 21 million shares today on ONDS. Good start to the day, up to 1050 and just battling back. Again, it looks like it's been holding out pretty good around this 950 area there for ONDS.
Onda's buying Worldview, what was the name of it? Worldview Enterprises, whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever that is.
So I'm not familiar with it, but they are in play. And sometimes, look, acquisitions go either way for small cappers. If a large cap company buys a big company, relatively, or mid-size company, usually you'll see the acquirer go down. It can be different with small cappers. Sometimes you'll get squeezed, but it doesn't look like Ondas is having that good of a day on that headline. So just worth keeping in mind with ONDS. And nothing against it. It just doesn't seem like it's going to the upside on that story. Bitcoin's really struggling to do much of anything off of that trend line. Like, it's bouncing, but like barely bouncing. It does feel like it might want to break down a little bit here on IBIT, unfortunately. Still just in battle. Oh, I should go back to SMCI is still looking, so the initial short basically hit the low, and now it's trending up. So SMCI is looking a little bit different, which means for me, wait till 21, or at least until we can get back underneath some of those support levels. So let it trend higher. You can always take a trend break or allow it to get into that $21 level, which is the level that I liked over here in SMCI. Super strong. Super strong trend to the downside on Friday. But remember, if things fall this badly, the relief rallies can be pretty intense. So you don't want to get caught if this thing is breaking out and just starting to rip faces off. You can allow it to get to key levels like 21 and this 21.8 level, which I am watching for sure. That Rivian story, or I shouldn't say story, Rivian move. The story was on Thursday. It's still going. Now 8% up on Rivian without there being anything new, and it's seemingly being a technical trade, and that's it. I got to start thinking about a reversion at some point. Like, allow it to keep going on this 15-minute. And then if you can get a topping tail like it did, I guess that would have been on Thursday, which it did at the open and it did off those highs, maybe look for a reversal there. 8%. Rivian's been an absolute
Rivian's a monster.
Kind of out of nowhere.
All right, guys. Yeah, look, it's I'm just kind of sitting exactly what we said we would do today. Sit on our hands a little bit, try to get the best trades in, and yeah, so far here, just 3 trades, right? Short oil twice and long the futures twice. So basically 4 kind of fills there. The early bid off VWAP, the late bid off VWAP, right there. The early short off of 112 that I liked early. Then we got out of it. Then another short there as we started to break down just a bit there on USO. We just took another fill at 30. Hopefully that will start to work out for us. And we took another fill up near the high. The high of, I mean, we almost have the low and the high right there. So that is your face slapper there for me so far there today. So that's going to be something to look at. Yeah, you guys talked about NVIDIA. Like, nothing's really hitting today on my scanner. We got Roblox, Micron, Qualcomm, XOM, GLD. Maybe we can have a quick little look over there. Let's have a quick look at GLD as the futures are at the highs of the day. So we couldn't be, or the highs of, so far here. We did have a little bit of a higher take rate there on the NASDAQ rate. At 7 a.m., of course. Okay, so right into here, GLD still floating. So 0.7%, not doing a whole heck of a lot. Hasn't really given me much room here on the 1-minute chart, at least to, take regressions or dip buys or fade any pops. GLD's kind of just been in the middle there. And even if you look at another chart that I only look at the 1 and the 5 pretty much, and then the daily just to talk to you guys about it. But this, this is looking okay, like 412. If we can break above that on GLD, we still have a little bit of room to go there. Actually, that might be a short rather than a long. Still underneath. I don't have the VWAP on here, but I can look at it at the 1 minute. It should be the same. 412 there. Underneath the 200 period, I like that. That's at 420. So where are we here? Well, we're above VWAP, so that's 402. Yeah, 412 coming in pretty hot here, it looks like, for GLD. So let's pay attention if that comes in. 412 was your high right there again back at 9 a.m. So that could be a good break long for sure. All right, USO, man, battling back. We still have 30% of this trade, so it looks like we'll have a little bit too much on for the move back, but we're still trying to give it to this 50 period, right? I mean, or VWAP, which is 113 and change. Because we don't have too much left, I think we could probably wait for that, but it's just so news-based. Like, I feel like we followed our rules here. We traded the futures, we traded oil, we waited for news, we waited for key levels, and we have to reward ourselves for that, right? So the next offer that I have up here is 46 coming in, so hopefully that'll print us out. Basically the high of the day there on the TQs, so we'll wait for that. And then USO, I'm gonna do a little bit of work on this and figure out where we're gonna get out on USO. This is what oil looks like, and then I'll throw it back over to Neil. Just the M contract right now, 86 and change, so you're still down 9% right now on U.S. oil. So oil. So oil futures. So watch out, down 9% right now as the market's taking out days high. Glad to be long, that's for sure. All right, long. So we just had a little bit of a dip. Look, oil's making a move down right now. I'm gonna take advantage of that. Just put a bit in the 40s. Maybe we get it. Nice little tick down here for oil again, but market ripping, and we're happy, man. Both these positions going nicely in our favor for right now.
Yeah, it's been, like, so far so good. But in terms of looking for things that are, like, outside of that realm, like whether it's an energy name that are going to be moving, SoFi, I see people in the chat talking about this one. Yes, we double bottomed off the Muddy Waters report. Yes, it's looking pretty strong, but we cannot seem to break that 17.4. It's actually 17.42. 42, my favorite number. You break this one out, I like this for SoFi. It just hasn't happened yet. So in terms of being patient, you just got to maybe stick with it. And, Battle, which was the only off, I want to say off brand, but it was just off the, off of my trading plan idea that I had out there. And it was simply because it didn't make sense to me that you hadn't at any point threatened those lows if we're going to have a break lower in futures, in oil futures. So as long as we're holding this consolidation down here, it hasn't broken the low just yet. I think there's another leg for this, but I don't want to get too far away from what was working before, and that was Boyle. Boyle, since VWAP, it hasn't really come back yet. Like, we just got out of it when 110 held on USO. But if we get another crack at the volume weighted average price, we'll just jump back into it. There's just no point like diddling around here. Like, let it get back into these highs and then play it one more time instead of forcing the trade off of this lower high so far from VWAP. So again, it's just going to be about patience as we go back to Adara and see what else we have at the desk.
Earlier today, President Trump in that Truth Social post around 7 a.m. Eastern indicated that he and Iran, or the U.S. and Iran, rather, were already in talks here to de-escalate the situation in the Middle East. We know Iran denied that. Now we're hearing from Israel. Or an Israeli source, rather, saying to Con News that it's, quote, too early to know if Trump is going to end the war. And Israel found his statement surprising. So again, we know Iran actually denied that there were any kind of talks here between the U.S. and Iran. Israel now saying that they find such talks and such a statement to be, quote, surprisring. Back to you.
Okay. I don't.
I think everyone found it surprising. Did anyone see it coming? I don't think so.
Yeah, what's up, Salvador? Right there, I'll put you up there, man. I mean, there's been a lot of thank yous happening in the chat. Thank you, Adara. Thank you, everybody, for today. I mean, there it is. What's up, Salvador? I know you've been following this. I don't know if you're the one that graduated 3 accounts last week on some of the trading, but if you're trading futures today, man, you probably could have graduated on these oil and this Qs trade. I mean, both them really, really working out. And thanks, Salvador, for all that. I mean, you don't have to tell me how hard trading is. I think that's obvious. And we've sort of talked about the stats, right? They're definitely not in your favor. So if you're able to have a successful strategy, you're beating most around here, guys. I mean, it's tough. Not around here, around prop trading floors, as it's very, very tough to get winning strategies coming through. Okay, man, there goes the TQs, up to 45 and change. We just cashed out a little bit there. So that's so far so good. And I think if anything, just be patient there today. All right, the other one that you guys wanted to look at, let's go over this stock locator one more time here as we have the visualizer coming through, and this is built by Fabian, so thank you so much for that. Any name that you guys vote on, IREN. So some of these beat up names over the last little while, IREN, you see Rivian as well starting to pop up, even a name like Palantir, although Palantir of course has news. There we go, we just got something filled there. I don't know what that was. Oh, that was USO. We get a 1040 fill on USO today. And there it is, man. Again, it's like now, again, if we just end it right there, we'll props it up. We do have our daily goal met already right there. So that's not bad. 1020. We'll go to the gym. We'll come back at 2 p.m. and see what's going on. There's SMCI 21 and change. So let's go have a quick little look at SMCI real quick and then see what's going on with that. And then we'll go over to Adara for the small cap recap there. All right, so right there now, Q's at the high of the day, oil getting lower, so couldn't be happier with all of that. Here, what did I just say? SMCI? Let's have a quick look at SMCI. Yeah, it is taking off. Nice little dip by there into 1950. Matches kind of that low that we were at. We were cruising lower for everything, right, until that tweet came out. So looks like 1960, definitely a good little level there for SMCI and breaking long right now. And if we look at a 5-minute chart for super micro computers, just looking to see if there is a spot. I think the short maybe 22 and change, but right now you're cooking on SMCI. Didn't really give us a reason to go long down there, but we did see the low of the day just hit twice on super micro computers. So yeah, man, just getting less and less, exposed here to the markets as it's 1020 already. So wow, right into that high again. Let me just offer, we are at 99s. Let me offer 90s, just there we go, just to get a little bit out there at 90. And yeah, downside on oil, upside on futures, and it's small cap recap with Adara.
3 names to discuss today in this small cap realm. I believe all of these we've probably discussed before, so none of these are brand new small cappers, but let's start here with FFAI. Faraday Future Intelligent Electric. This stock is a penny stock right now, 34 cents roughly. We've got about a 25% short float. FFAI announcing that their SEC investigation against the company or into the company has ended and there's no enforcement action being recommended. So nice conclusion there for FFAI, which is of course well below its pre-market highs right now. GRAB, this is a notably larger market cap name, about $15 billion market cap, but only trading around $3.70, 9% short float. This company on watch after announcing that it's going to be acquiring the Taiwan operations of Food Panda from Delivery Hero for $600 million. Last but not least, UGRO. This one, very small market cap here, $2.7 million float of just 670,000 shares for Urban Grow. Now, this stock going to be on watch here after Innovative Production Group merged with Flash Sports and Media. Now, as a result, a profile of T20 Cricket League rights will be given here to UGRO. That's the deal with this stock. Again, the other small caps on watch here are DRAB and FFAI. Back to you.
That's interesting. UGRO, just like that company just sounds like it should be a cannabis stock, but T20 is a giant, for anyone that doesn't know, T20 cricket in India is absolutely huge. Like that, like it's just in terms of viewership, there probably is no single league that has more fan viewership just by sheer numbers, and the growth potential is gigantic there. I don't know anything about that UGRO company. Just know anyone that's a cricket fan knows how big that market is. So the only new trade was Battle, because USO made that move to the downside. I did not see this break the shelf, and so once it did, we jumped in. I want to play this down into the even dollar. It was trending down all the way, so it's a long consolidation that's finally starting to break down. I think it gets to $10 and it catches a bid, and it's worth remembering. See that number? That's down 18%. So it's going to be SSR, and when you have that short sell restriction and the uptick rules in effect, I want to respect an even dollar level like the 10. So if we're able to grab that, like the risk to reward there, it's been absolutely fine. And I pivoted over there because Boyle wasn't really, like it didn't like Boyle outside of getting into VWAP. So that little flat bottom break on Battle just made a little bit more sense to me. SMCI into that 21. There's a big difference between, at the open, you kind of get this breakdown at the open on structure where you have this trend, like it's been trending down, it breaks down, you can have a really tight stop, to it gets to a round number and doesn't flash you an entry point. Like there's no reason to be short in this yet. I don't think, look, I might get into this again. Maybe we break a trend line. Maybe you actually eventually fail 21. But nothing happened at 21 to signal an entry, which is my style. So if we go higher, I'll wait for it to get a little bit more. It's not enough to get to a line on a chart. There actually has to be a trading setup that I like. So yeah, you're getting a nice bounce here in SMCI along with the market. I don't think the all clear is in for these guys, because the stock has been so badly beaten up. But for today, it might just be a one and done on SMCI. Rivian, for those out there, I saw a few people that were posting the story from Thursday with regard to Rivian, Uber with a big investment in Rivian and partnership. Again, that story is from Thursday. Maybe this is a bit of a late dead cat bounce, and some of it might have to do with what's going on, the relief rally in the market in general. But for whatever reason, Rivian is up 9%. And because there is nothing new, I'm also looking for a bit of a trend break here on Rivian. But it's been one of those so far so good type of days. TLPYO just said UGRO has done a reverse stock split. Why does that not surprise me that this would be a habitual line stepper? Yeah, when you look at these small cappers, you know the story. Reverse split, run, reverse split, run, find some bag holders. 420 seems like it's a level here for whatever reason. And again, you're just sort of seeing it reject the same levels on the daily chart. And it's under VWAP too. So when you have these small cappers under the volume weighted average price, usually feel like the strength isn't there until if it gets back above, maybe this one not dead, because the volume's fantastic on it, but it's looking a little bit weaker than you would like. And again, habitual line stepper.
Broke through 110 again on USO, and I didn't have any bids there. It's a good thing we did have, as one goes up, the other one goes down. We did take an offer there on the Qs at around 46.10. So that's going to be a good one, but we missed that USO taken. I'm just looking at this, like, honestly, it seems like, and we're out of more than half now on, way more than half on USO. We only have about 20% left of both of these positions right here as we try to negotiate through them. But yeah, just 110 basement looks like a good call for USO. And just to let you guys know, I'm waiting at 112 up here to see if we can get another short on that name. And just basically looking to punch out right around 112.50. So if we break above here, then I think we're going to get out. I have a little bit of a different VWAP on this USO chart is at 112.30s. So I'm just going to wait for 112.50 to possibly take out there now as well. Chevron CEO speaking just about price of oil right now, which is
that's
starting to get this going a little bit. We can't, I mean, obviously we can't go negative.
I didn't hear that though.
No, I don't know. I thought something about Chevron. Maybe not.
Yeah, I see it on X here. Oil market is trading on scant information.
Okay.
But like
scant information, okay. I think that's true. I mean, I don't think there's anything not true about that. But yeah, so we are starting to go back up. I just wanted to give that idea to everybody that, you know, you can't hold on to something forever. Now we have less than 20% left on both of these positions. Actually, a little bit less. We had 15%. That's what screwed me up. We have 50% on TQs and 20% on USO. So there's an out there on the Qs. Now we're starting to fall back in a little bit there. I still do want to reload this at 45. Like if we get anything down there, if I'm not here by the time that happens, I'll probably still keep that bid in. But, you know, 44, like if we break pretty much the low of the day there, we want to get out. So, you know, I think a reload, I don't want to reload this anywhere except for really either the 200 or VWAP. So I think we'll wait for around a 45 print to come in here on the Qs before we do anything. And otherwise, just kind of let it go up. I think we've done a great job today to do that. Let our trades sort of mature into winners or losers and just give them a shot, right? Waiting for this is going to be key as well. So 112, if we can get that offer, then we'll take it and then we'll give it to 112.50 and see if it breaks through VWAP. So that's kind of what I'm doing right there. The other stock that if there's any sort of weakness today, you know, I missed this stock literally 10 bucks ago on the punch. You know, it happens real quick, real fast off the open, right? And so it was that one first sort of candle that just blasted right through there. I wanted, and he talked about this. This is the missed trade of the day for me. I haven't missed anything else right there. 373.50 is just looked like it was trying to ramp up there, bounced off the 50 period, held, and just if this market wanted to go, I had sort of a, I don't know why, but just sort of a sneaky feeling there. Sometimes the spidey senses go up there that, you know, Tesla did have a good day underneath it. Now, I don't know, this seems a lot, 4%. So watch out here. If the market does come back in, Tesla would be a prime candidate to short just because there are individual stories, but I don't know if 4% is right. Palantir also got up to 160. I think that was a pretty high take for PLTR here today as well. All right, that's what I'm doing, and those are some of the plays that we have on board right now. So, you know, 4% is a good day. And then, one more, Robinhood. So I saw this in the pre-market at 70, and shout out to my guy Joe, who's back in the building right here. So we're really happy to have him come through, get ready for Joe and Sharif on the midday. But $70 came in. It was actually lower off the open, right? When we came in today at 7 a.m., the whole market was trending significantly lower. And then you get that truth or tweet. It's awesome how he's called it truthing. Like now it's like you have no choice but to think of every time he writes something, it's like, what's the truth out there? There it goes. So he posted it up there, obviously about Iran and the United States having talks and no more hitting oil fields or energy infrastructure for the next 5 days. And he has not gone back on that. He said that that's exactly what they talked about. And there's sort of, was it 32 points or something? I forget the number that he said. Maybe it was 15, but there's things
there are 15 points,
15,
according to him.
So there it is, 15 points or so that are going to get hammered out and that have been worked on. So that seems like enough points for me as we go long the market there. I mean, if it was only 12 points, then maybe I wouldn't be so long, but 15 key point, 13 and maybe 12 and a half would be the over-under on that one. Yeah, so far so good anyways there today. And yeah, market's coming back upside on oil. So I think the Chevron comments there and whether or not the Straits of Hormuz actually opens up is a completely different story. So we're hoping for that. You know, Tehran had made like a passage safe way for vetted ships.
If you're, let's be real,
just got to let them all through.
Though. It's the CEO of Chevron.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they have fiduciary duties to speak the truth.
Yeah, true, but he's not crying if oil prices are higher. I'm just saying.
Oh, no.
You know, it is what it is. I own shares of Chevron. That's
Chevron's
that's
up
the
today,
energy that I
actually,
like.
pretty
And
nice,
Chevron's-
with oil down.
The thing about Chevron that I think in some days, even with oil down, you have to remember they're already in Venezuela. If a lot of this story, regardless of how this plays out, a lot of this story is about, okay, how can you have less reliance in the Middle East? Chevron's a gigantic key to that. They pay a good dividend. They've been structurally breaking out. The momentum is fantastic. I know I'm kind of talking up my own book because this is the oil name that I happen to have. But to the extent that he did just cause a move to the upside, I was basically playing this breakdown off of what I saw in USO. Like USO broke down. I'm like, okay, well, Battle broke down as well. When that spike happened, it was a chance to punch out while still in the money, which I did. So as this follows along, what I've noticed here is it's lagging this move. So what I'm gonna play for is as we go back into VWAP here in USO, look for Battle to just sort of follow along. If it holds on to the trend line, jump back in. If I can't get boiled, then I'll do it over here in Battle for sure. And still be patient with something like an SMCI, which could be a trade. The only thing that I haven't traded today that was in the plan, I mean, it's IBIT. We're just not moving that much, ultimately. It's never retested back in. Now I like VWAP. It's really caught up after the first hour of the day here. Too much volume in the morning to actually care about VWAP until it settles in. And there hasn't been a deep dip yet, but we have pulled back into some of these opening range highs. Like 40, 30 on IBIT I think would make a little bit more sense for a second salvo. Or if we just trend down long enough, I can do a trend break long. But I just feel like you're chopping around here a little bit too much. And the oil names have gone, like I've only traded 3 names here, but it's like 2 of them are oil anyways. Like Battle and Boyle are both kind of the same thing. And then SMCI has not looked like a short at that 21, but I can wait. There's some support. We could break the trend line pretty much at 21 now, and then I'd have another trade over here in SMCI. So you just have to be, I just saw KD Dumpster is calling it a not nice word market. I just think what it's requiring is you have to be really patient with your entries. It feels like that was the way on Friday. That was the way most of last week, to be honest with you, and it's more of it today. So maybe less trades or less entry points, whatever it might be, a little bit more patience, and when you find a setup that works or that looks good, then you jump in. So that's why I'm not just jumping in anywhere on SMCI. I could have blindly shorted 21, but does that look like a good idea? No, the stock's now up 3%. So why would I want to fight it? Show me the short off this trend break, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, I mean, we need to be able to find reasons to be in and out of trades. I mean, I think that's the #1 thing there. So, yeah, breaking of trend. Like, that's why I'm kind of just sitting here right now, trying to figure out what exactly that next trade's going to be. I have decided to take a little bit of oil again right here, right around 111.80. I think it just makes a lot of sense to just be looking, at the NASDAQ futures and at oil. For today until something actually makes a decent move. And moves have already happened, so there's been a lot to trade early. It's 10:35 though right now, so looking for structure, looking for things that have set up again right now. SMCI is sort of setting up as well. It looks like it's trying to coil right here and actually get ready for a long. I mean, you bounced off the 50, you bounced off the 25 period moving average as well. You broke through VWAP down there. You've got some decent support. SMCI, I know it's going to be a tough one to sort of plug your nose and hit that short or that long, just because it's been such a, basically a foul-looking stock, man. I mean, we broke through that $30. We had that accounting issue, the imports and the exports. We've had CEOs and board members resign, and SMCI now, will the trust ever be able to get garnered back into this company? I mean, that's another aspect that you need to think about for SMCI. But as far as a day trade, yeah, it's been pretty good, man. Holding out at this 21. Seems like a decent long right now. It's just when we can trade the market, we might as well, I'm not really seeing anything. IBIT had a great break long early. right into here, that level, or even the pre-market highs right in there at $40.25, and that's sort of struggling upside there as well right now. So IBIT only up 1.6%. And then again, if we just look at the broader markets, we don't have, it's only 1036 right now. I'll look at the futures, and I sort of know where my bread's been buttered. I'm willing to butter it again if it does come back in. Some of these utility names today, you know, great for some of the dividend and great today. CEG, Constellation upside today. Vistra, great quarter for Vistra. They were added to the S&P 500, so no surprise on Vistra starting to move. Okay, oil's starting to go upside here, so we may actually wind up getting stopped out of oil if it does break. And just watching it, very possible. Gets into that 112 finally right there as futures coming back down a little bit. As maybe, like we said, if Iran's not going to comment too much on it, then maybe there isn't much there. And we just get President Trump being very excited about oil and trying to calm sort of his base, right? I mean, it's been a bad weekend if you looked at the price of gas and oil at your pump or anything like that. So I could see a little bit of worrisome action here today, and a nice talk by Trump and saying that all happened Saturday night. So I don't know why he wouldn't truth it out, you know, yesterday, but he does this morning right before the market opens. So I could definitely see some conspiracy-based things happening there. But we're short oil again against VWAP. We're out of 112.50 if it does break 112.50. We can go a little higher, man, into 112.70, but that's going to be the play for me on USO. We're going short right now. What's up, Adara?
We have another world leader who's entered the fray here. Now, we know President Trump said these talks with Iran happened. Iran denied them. Israel said they were kind of surprised that Trump made this statement. Now we have comments from UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He's saying that he was aware that talks between the U.S. and Iran were happening. So now we have both the UK and U.S. saying these talks did happen with Iran, Iran saying they did not happen, and Israel expressing some skepticism. Back to you.
Yeah,
that's the skepticism.
It's more of the same makes more of the same. Like at the end of the day, the proof will be in the pudding. Is as long as these look, if there's no strikes on any, if there's no further strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure, then the good news is in, and regardless. So we'll leave it at that. The only new position for me is that Rivian. Look, Rivian trended up all more. It's still strong and it's up 8%, but trended up, broke the trend line. There's your consolidation breakdown. So short to the high, look for the VWAP retracement. Oops. This is nothing against Rivian, by the way. Like, there's nothing against Rivian here. But it's still a reversion play as far as I'm concerned off of those highs. I like what's going on with the $15 level and that 200 period moving average and the Uber deal on Thursday. But this did rally just with the market, goes right into resistance from Thursday and Friday. And we take our trend trade. And with that, it's already 10:40. So let's go back to the desk. It's time for Sector Watch.
Before that, I have more updates on the this country said, that country said, back and forth here with regards to the U.S. and Iran. Now we have Israeli press reporting that U.S. is holding talks with Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. So that's some more details. Now the Israeli press, I guess, reporting that, yes, U.S. is holding talks with this speaker in Iran. So if I get more details, I will certainly keep you posted. Take a look here at this sector board, which is largely green. Producer manufacturing here doing incredibly well with Caterpillar, LRCX, and AMAT all sharply to the upside. Retail trade quite strong as well with Home Depot and Amazon, both really strong. Consumer durables doing well. Industrial services, a lot of strength here as well. Non-energy minerals. We know we talked about some metals weakness or concerns earlier today, but then you still got copper plays like FCX and gold plays like NEM Newmont actually doing quite well. Finance, strong. Tech services, strong. Electronics, tech, strong. It's really hard to find a sector that's out and out weak, though, I mean, you've got some relative weaker or lagging, I guess, nature here for health services. Some areas of this relatively flat. Consumer non-durables also flat, relatively speaking. Back to you.
Yeah, props up to anybody. As Neil was just mentioning, energy. I mean, that's what we're trading here today. And I said, like, what's the point of looking anywhere else? And there it is, man. We hit it. We got reloaded, and there it is. 112.20s. I mean, that's what we wanted against VWAP right there. So in at 112.20. out at 111.90, out again at a couple outs at 75, then another out at 50. Like, man, this just gave us right there 70 cents with risking 30. So, you know, we're going to start to take some of these plays. We also did take another out there on the TQs. As we can see, if oil's going to move one way, I just don't want to be caught into both of these trades. Like, I don't need to be, even though now I'm getting less and less. We now have 10% left on the TQs, so we're almost out of that one, and the reload here in oil. So I just getting a little feeling that the market might push down a little bit here, which would create oil upside. So, you know, just trying to exit this out. I only have 20 more minutes left, and then we'll be back at 2 p.m. and we'll see what's going on with the dollar, though, quickly right now, as it's nice to see that France, you know, said that, yeah, they knew that there was going to be some talk. UK knew there was going to be some talk there. And so that just sort of justifies that for Trump. So I think that's nice to see. And maybe there is some truth to what's been happening there. And I mean, why wouldn't there be? He's come out and said, I mean, I guess we have many examples of why it wouldn't be, but just for today, the dollar seems to be reacting as if it means something. You know, we started the day up here over $100 as the NASDAQ was down 1%. Then obviously right there at 705, truths it out that, you know, Iran and the United States have been having, you know, some successful and positive talks there about, you know, the Straits and about energy infrastructure and possibly ending, you know, some of the barrage that's been happening for the last 2-3 weeks. So, you know, the dollar now getting weaker into that, which generally speaking, you know, a weak dollar is a nice movement upside for NASDAQ.
Don't discount the VIX too.
Yeah, what's the VIX?
We're down at 24.
Yeah, okay. So
we were over 30. Like think about it. Like we hadn't seen the 3 in front of the VIX in a while, and we're chilling at 24. Like There's been nothing. I get it. People are saying, oh, it's kind of like a boring market. Well, that's fine. We'll take this if we just sit there trending up a little bit. We'll take that.
So here goes oil.
For sure. But it was just another spike in USO. Yep. All right, and I just got into, forget about Rivian for a second, because I just jumped back into battle on basically the next consolidation down, and then immediately there was a bit of a... I don't think
that broke there.
See that spike here? I'm not sure what is going on, but if I'm using that as a bit of the futures, I might try to take an opportunity to trim this. But Rivian, at least for that one, is starting to come back.
Did that even break?
That trend break. So we're able to get, I think we just trended into VWAP, super strong stock. There's positive news here in my respect. Like, I don't have the price that I would have liked in the 20s, so I got the 10s, but that doesn't change the fact it's a VWAP retracement here on Rivian. Because to me, you trend this long to the upside, and you're this strong off the lows, it's a key level on the daily chart. It's an overall bounce play here on the daily. So a reversion is back into VWAP, and then if anything, maybe even look for a long continuation on Rivian. So we got our trend break, and we'll look for that bounce off the volume-weighted average price, and then move on to the next from there. But good day for them, and wow, there's another one. Palantir actually got right to $160. So 5.5%. Zoom it out. Didn't quite hit the 161 high, but it's starting to do a bit of a pullback. I think it'll be really interesting when you get some of these dips throughout lunchtime. Presumably, like I'm not saying 100% chance, it's 15 minutes to 11 o'clock, but throughout lunch, some of these strong stocks might give you that dip into VWAP type entry play. So watch out for what's going on in the energy markets. We tend to be just simply oil goes up and the market seems to want to come back down and vice versa. So when you catch a bit of resistance in oil futures, I think that'll be the spot to look for some longs. Palantir, Tesla stand out, Rivian stands out as a strong name, and we can look for those VWAP bounces when we catch that curl. So far, so good. And I'm not sure what just caused that spike up in oil, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
The only fair I'm seeing is the one I already reported a couple of minutes ago. Jerusalem Post reporting that U.S. is having talks with Iran's parliament leader. That's all I'm seeing here with regards to oil. Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, also reportedly saying another SPR release could happen, but he thinks it's unlikely.
All right, well, if SPR release happens, that should bring prices down, but I don't know about that actually happening. So, and it didn't work last week. Yeah, the
thing is, the glut with the straight closed, you can't do too much. Like when you lose, you're talking like 10, 12 million barrels a day. There's nothing strategic reserves are going to be able to do about that kind of volume. But Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I got, it didn't break VWAP and we got stopped out, so they must have spiked up there and then came right back in. So I'm just gonna short it again, and we just got a 20 fill there. So I'm okay. Now it's starting to dance a little bit here. I mean, I don't know what. Again, like this is literally USO is flashing down like 40 cents there, then right back upside, and I didn't have any bids down there. So we actually missed that most recent move down. It just went through 112. Energy Secretary Wright is talking. Okay, let's go. Yeah, there it goes. This time we get that low bid. All right, man. P&L right back to where it needs to be there again. So, all right, good short right there. Yeah, man. The face slapper is in, man. The oil, I mean, okay. Neil, this is a 70-cent winner there, and we are only risking 15 cents to the high side there on oil. Our stop is 112.60s right there. We're just got 111.70s to the downside there. Did we get that? Yeah, we got 79. Nice little fill downside there on oil. I don't know, man. I'm just going to start to cash more and more out here as we've already gone, big time 1-to-1 on all of that. So, all right, we'll go back to Adara as here go. Nice move down in the market.
More comments coming here from Chris Wright, again, U.S. Energy Secretary, saying that their team is examining additional measures to control oil prices together with quote unquote other options, saying they're going to be asking the industry to raise production if needed, and saying that the U.S. can improve refinery efficiency to lower fuel prices. So long story short, a couple different measures that the U.S. could be making to lower fuel prices, according to U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright.
Yeah, they can try, but there's only so much. It's kind of limited how much they're going to be able to affect it. It's all about the straight, and it's only about the straight. I'm glad we actually held on to some of that. Because look, Battle, I only took some out because that move up in USO, but it's still going to hold trend down. Actually, the thing I like about this is you've been sort of trending up on USO. If that turns back into a downtrend, then this should be able to fall off a shelf. So I'm going to continue the whole short into the resistance and short into the trend line. And then if you lose the bid altogether, I think it's going to look pretty nice. I saw a lot of people mentioning, a couple of people said that Tesla looks like a short. Not seeing it necessarily. I think maybe the argument would be that you're getting, there's your breakout and then it's starting to form a bit of a trend line. I like the fact that Rivian already broke its trend without Tesla, so that shows me that even though percentage-wise it's stronger, it's not looking as strong now. So this one looks like it'll get into that volume-weighted average price for us, which will be pretty, that'll be target. But at the end of the day, it's still like an upward trending stock as far as I'm concerned. And then IBIT, a little disappointing, but we're starting to pull back here on Bitcoin. That's with the market not doing much. Just got to wait for it. Pull back into 40. Nothing here has told me that we don't have a chance to still come back and pull back into prior day high. So I think the structure of that trade is still working. Like you can see it falling. It's no longer moving with the market as much, so it can definitely pull back in. It's just about being patient. And if the first IBIT trade comes during lunch, then so be it. So far, so good. Like it's been a solid morning, and maybe not with a number of trades, but haven't had a loser yet. And I think not rushing is going to be the way to go. Let's go to Adara. Time to see how that USD is doing.
USD's been making lower highs since Friday, March 13th, which I guess it had been an unlucky day for the US dollar. We do get that nice push above 100. High of day on that day was 100 halves. Now, since again, lower highs. And at this point, we're actually going to be breaking support that we made last Thursday around that 98.9s level, currently trading actually just around 98.8. So it looks like we already broke below that level. Though high of day was quite sharp on this. High of day for the session, 100. So it's quite the swing here for DXY today. In terms of economic data, we've got that construction spending print that's going to be lower than expected for the month of January, negative 0.3% versus positive 0.1 expected and positive 0.3 prior. Now, we have to discuss the CME FedWatch tool, because the CME FedWatch tool is getting really interesting here, guys. Prior, we were expecting, obviously low chances of rate cuts, but there were at least some rate cuts priced in by the CME FedWatch tool for some of these months. April, right now, that'll be the meeting just over a month ago from now. It'll be April 29th. That'll be 94% of participants expecting a rate cut, rate hold, but just over 6% expecting actually we could get a 25 basis point rate increase. So now we're seeing hikes. Again, 10% chance of a rate hike coming through for June, though 90% here, overwhelming majority expecting that in June rates will be held steady. The first time that we get a even like tiny percent chance of a rate cut is going to be in July. As of right now, roughly 4% of participants expecting a cut in July. So we've gone from potentially some cuts here in early spring to maybe even some raises. Again, until July, where we start to get that very small percentage chance of a rate cut. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. Yeah, I'm just getting out of everything now with only 8 minutes to go. We cleared out some of this oil. I mean, oil went down $1 again for us. So, you know, with a 5-to-1 risk to reward there, you might, I mean, that's pretty much what we were looking for. I was thinking about getting it all out at 111 anyways. So we are bidding a little bit more down there. If we're able to get it out, I'm bidding 111111111. So maybe that'll come in and we'll be able to get filled there pretty much at the 50 period. We did get a couple good bids near the 25 and then out of the futures as well. Like I'm just exiting out of this as I won't return to the desk until about 1:15 or so. So on that note, let's go figure out what's for lunch. And it's funny because last week I made a comment about this type of food and that it's only ever one thing. Today's flag, of course, from the motherland, and it's going to be an Italian flag. So you got to get ready for that. So normally it's beef bolognese when it's here today. And we said, you know, there's never any lasagna or chicken parmesan or veal or ravioli or yeah, they did. And today the new caterer is doing chicken parmesan. So there it is, man. It's a chicken dinner winner.
It's an actual.
No, I don't know if it's a new caterer. It's same caterer, but new Italian. Sharif just said new caterer. I slipped up there. Yeah, new dish today. Chicken parmesan with spicy tomato sauce. They're even adding a little spice to this thing. That's how I like my chicken parm, with little spicy peppers on there. So roasted veggie, yeah, that's right.
I think we'll be.
I had some amazing jerk chicken this week. Shout out to All Wins. If you guys know, you know. They also have a chicken sandwich where they put the patty inside the sandwich. It's crazy. All right, heirloom tomato salad. That is what's for dinner. And yeah, now I can never have jerk chicken again, pretty much. That was so good there this weekend. So shout out to that. And shout out to basically being at the highest spot right now. Thank you to the futures. And we're going to be finishing out our trading here today. Only trading two names, man. The Qs right here with the TQ, you know, I use the TQQs. This is a triple levered ETF for the NASDAQ. So I've only traded the NASDAQ today and oil with USO. So I just go short oil today and long the futures, which is exactly what we had written down right here. If you're looking for some trade ideas, sometimes the prices don't hit because of when I'm actually writing them, but USO short, TQ's long, that's what we had. We also had NVIDIA long, but I didn't really look. Only 3 names on there, but we trade 1 and 2 and both the same ways. We just had to wait for our prices to come in. And today we use VWAP in different areas like that, and just a bunch of reloads there. And it's a really good trade on USO. Like that's been, okay, get back into the lows again. We just got a 40 fill, that was your dollar. And we shouldn't have even got stopped out right here. By the way, like I don't even know what happened there. It must have just whipped up and back in, and it does punch me out, and then we get right back in, and now you can see what's happening. Oh man, we just went down to 115 again. I got our 111.15. I'm at 11111. Let me go to 11121 now and see if we can get that fill
or
down there.
11122.
Yeah, anywhere, man. And, yeah, is it? No, I disagree. Okay, here comes 21s right here coming in. But I know you like 42. I could bid 42s and probably get that as well.
21 is half of 42, so.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one.
It's a good number either way.
Yeah.
I might jump back into this, but I moved my. Sorry. I just choking on like a piece of fruit, which is weird because the fruit salad is delicious. A lot of pineapple and strawberry today. But we didn't have another breakdown off this low. So effectively, you're going 1050 to 1030 on battle. It's just back and forth in this little 2% range. But it just kind of took out the break even. So until we maybe retest and put some wicks above the trend line, I don't want to jump back into it. And then the other trade, the only thing that wasn't, like Battle's an energy name, and obviously Boyle was too, and then SMCI was on our list. Rivian was more of just out in the wild trend break. It's close to the volume weighted average price, but it's also enough of a trend down and close enough to VWAP that if it kind of breaks this trend line back up, I'll hop out at the break even spot here on Rivian. So again, so far so good. And I saw in the chat a couple of small cappers that we didn't get to. There was a halt on this PTLE. Now, obviously, this has halted multiple times. I'm just eyeballing it. Like, I'll call it like 8 maybe, based on them just looking at my halt locator or my halt scanner. It's probably even more than that. It's only done 1.4 million shares of volume, but this is not one of those symbols that you're going to be able to sort of trade normally. You get 1 or 2 candles and then you get a halt. So just be careful trading it. The current tap is down in a down halt in $10. The last down halt, it actually then went to the upside. So just be careful with this PTLE. Not the kind of liquidity you'd expect out of the other names. So we just got our VWAP trade on Rivian. I mean, it is what it is. Like, so far, so good. If it doesn't give a long off this, and when I mean give a long, break the downtrend. If it holds VWAP and breaks the downtrend, I can reverse into a long on Rivian. I still think this is a good, productive move off the $15 level. You just got to a resistance spot. You can find continuation to the upside off VWAP, which I think is perfectly fine. Maybe that'll be the next trade. Potentially Palantir. Palantir already bouncing off VWAP, so I might just go over to Rivian. Like, you can see, I went over to Palantir and it already bounced like $1 change off of the volume weighted average price. You can't chase a move like that. So I'll look to see if maybe Rivian will bounce off VWAP and we can go from short to the long side of the trade. And for someone in the chat that said, Neil, you can't just always give the chicken 9, I've only once have I ever given the chicken here a 9, and that's when it was the fried chicken. So, like, that's...
Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited for whenever we get anything new today. So
Yeah, it'll be good.
Win, lose, or draw, the
good.
chicken parm for me, it's already a win because we're getting a different dish. Like, you gotta change things up, spice of life, and obviously a caterer's gonna have a bit of a routine. But
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the same chicken as always with the same sauce as always, but it'll be put together.
yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a tasty treat.
Look, I'm hoping it'll be a tasty
Me too. I think it'll be a tasty one for sure.
one. But I know it's one last
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead. I have nothing to say anyways.
I know I haven't traded Intel at all today, and this is the other thing which is setting up at the volume weighted average price, and it's actually doing it right now. This is not the greatest trend line in the world, but I gotta respect it. Dip, rip, dip, rip, dip. It's 3 points, which I like for a 3-point trend line, and it's a volume weighted average price. So a hold of this trend line with this, if it closes above this bar, I'm gonna try to jump in here long. So Palantir didn't really give the entry. I think we can get one here on Intel or possibly Rivian.
Okay, yeah, just real quickly about everything here. So USO does get low. Let's see, man, there it is. We are gonna be bidding down here. You know where we're bidding 1121s there as we said that. So we got 10 more cents or so until we get into that level as we're coming back just a little bit here on USO. And I'm just glad that we're gonna be able to, go out here with you guys sort of at the highs for the trading there. And someone was like, you got to get locked in. I'm locked in, my guy. Trust me on that one. Like, we only have these trades today. We really waited for them to come in, and I think we did pretty good, responsible trading here today without getting too carried away. I almost shorted this thing all the way into oblivion. Thankfully, it has hit. There it is. I mean, this is how locked in we are, and this is $1.30 rate here, and just waiting now for it to drop in. So, yeah, so far so good there. As we go, I want to talk about SWMR. There may be something for the midday guys. I don't know if it halted today. It doesn't look like it. On the halt scanner today, we have a few different names there. PTLE, VRM, PTLE again, AHMA, WSHP there earlier as well. So the guys will be talking about some names if they do halt. Of course, hit them up in the chat, and Adara and Sharif and Joe will get some news for you. But there goes SWMR again. Last week's IPO, mooned for a bit, especially after hours. Now it's back down in 22%. Okay, man, there it goes. Yeah, now it's $1.70. The face slapper is back right now. There it goes, man. Let's take another bid on USO as it continues to go down. You're welcome, everybody, today, but we want to thank you for watching. That's by far the most important thing. So thank you for watching, everybody on TikTok, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, Starlink live feed. And if you're here watching us right now on YouTube, that's our most popular spot there. And there it goes. Now we're $2 in the money. So here we go, man. Yeah, big day ahead for you guys on the midday. Missed you guys on Friday afternoon. I'm sure Obi did absolutely fantastic as per usual. Thanks, Neil.
Good job there today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Glad to have Adara back.
Soaring, baby.
It's Joe and Sharif. See you later.